Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 10, Episode 29. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being with us this Friday, Steelers Nation. It is Chargers week and primetime football on Sunday night, and the Steelers need a victory in the worst possible way, and I feel like I say that every single week. But, Dave, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm kind of excited about the game as well, too. I guess as best as one can, you know, with obviously with it being a Sunday night game, and second, with it looking like we might have a rookie undrafted quarterback starting the game as well. And, you know, I think you'll probably agree with this as well, Alex. I mean, this is the best 1-4 team in the league, but the defense is playing good, and I think they're going to start playing a little bit better as long as they stay healthy. And you always have the kind of what ifs, I think, that go through your mind. I think, you know, you come out of games and you're low, and the optimism isn't there, and you're thinking, man, this season's junk, and then you get into Monday night and you see what happens with the you know, another team in the division that was supposed to be a division leader. Then you go back through the tape again and you start previewing the stuff coming up this week, and a little bit of that optimism creeps back into you. So yeah, looking forward to this weekend's game. And I mean, the odds are obviously against them winning it on the road, and we'll break it down a little bit more in depth in a little bit, but that's where I'm at here on this Friday.
Yeah, we'll break down Steelers Chargers in a bit. We'll also have later in the show Eric D. Williams, who covers the Chargers for ESPN. You can follow him at Eric_D_Williams on Twitter. We'll talk to him a little bit later in the show. But yeah, you mentioned it. You know, I don't know, at least as of this recording, I don't know who the starting quarterback will be this Sunday. Will it be Devlin Hodges? That's been the expectation, but Mason Rudolph has gotten a little bit of work, scout team practice the last 2 days. So Randy Fichtner even admitted he does not know who his quarterback is for Sunday, and I guess that's a good chance to talk about the most recent injury report with Rudolph getting in back-to-back limited practices. Mike Hilton showed up with a foot injury. Vance McDonald, no practices for the last 2 days. It's a little concerning. Hopefully he can do something today so he can be available for Sunday's game.
Yeah, you know, the thing that you have here, obviously, with Mason and being limited, James Washington with the shoulder, it doesn't, you know, we've kind of known since the start of the week here that he's probably not going to play. Steven Nelson says he is going to play through the groin injury. He's been limited the last 2 days. Mark Barron, certainly not looking good for him, is it? With that hamstring injury, not practicing both Wednesday and Thursday. Obviously, Friday would probably be a big day for him. Justin Lane back practicing full after missing Wednesday with an illness. Normally that doesn't work out too well for rookies, but they might be down enough bodies where he might still have to dress anyway. Jalen Samuels has already been ruled out with that knee. Roosevelt, next 2 days of not practicing. It doesn't look as though he's going to make it back this week, and that's a shame there. Marquise Pouncey, not injury-related, returned to practice full. Anthony Chickillo, a guy that's been out since week 2 against Seattle there, went limited on Wednesday and then went full on Thursday. If he goes full again, you know, on Friday, I think he's going to be back in the lineup here, and that would obviously free up J-Ron Elliott to be, you know, cut on Saturday should indeed they need to do that. Vance McDonald, as you said, 2 days of do not practices. It is concerning. But, I mean, you know, he did play through it last week there. I'm willing to bet he ends up going. He might end the week as questionable. But if you have a questionable tag from Mike Tomlin, you're playing.
Right.
Mike Hilton might be the one to watch because him showing up out of the blue with a foot injury and being limited. But with that said, unless we hear anything else, I would expect him to play. The guessing game with Rudolph. Here's the thing. I mean, he has, if he's able to clear concussion protocol, then, if he's able to clear concussion protocol today, then I think there's a good chance that he dresses at least and is the backup. We will have our answer on what will and won't happen with Mason Rudolph as far as him dressing by Saturday. If whatever happens to Paxton Lynch, if Paxton Lynch is not promoted to the 53 on Saturday, that's a good sign that Mason's going to dress. With him being on scout team these 2 days in a row and really not being full, I'm going to go ahead and guess that Duck's going to start the game, Alex.
Yeah, here's where I come in on this, is that I think Rudolph's got to be in either two camps for Sunday. He's either got to start or he shouldn't dress, because either he's been cleared and he's prepared to play, which means he should start, or he's not cleared, which obviously means he won't play. But even if he's cleared, but they still not given the starting nod, then that means he's just not prepared, and he shouldn't even be the backup at that point, because I don't want to put him in an unprepared situation should Devlin Hodges get hurt. And this isn't a Ben scenario from a few years back where Ben's a veteran, can come off the bench. Remember that Cleveland game where Landry Jones started, got hurt in like the first drive, and Ben finished it out and beat the Browns. So I think it would be kind of an irresponsible decision to have Rudolph be the backup. I think he's either all the way in or all the way out for Sunday. That's how I would approach it.
So you're saying if he can't start, then he shouldn't dress?
Yes, that's where I come in. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's because if he's not starting, then he's not prepared. Which means he's not prepared to be the backup either.
Well, I think they're trying to. We'll obviously see what he can get done in practice today. But I mean, he hasn't run the offense. If he practices full today, do you want him starting?
If he's cleared medically and the team feels like he's gotten enough reps in to be ready, then yeah, I mean that would be a team decision based on his overall level of readiness. I guess the other question would be, is Paxton Lynch even prepared either? Because if Mason's getting scout team Hodges with the ones, what is Paxton Lynch doing here? But either way, I think it's a tough spot for the backup not being prepared.
Yeah, I'd much rather go with them having Duck fully prepared and then dressing Rudolph if he clears.
But again, is Rudolph prepared? If he's not starting, that's an admission that he's not gotten the reps to start.
How ready is Paxton going to be?
No, I know. I guess the other. I mean, that's what I just mentioned a second ago. But
pick which one you would rather have go into a ball game Sunday night if you needed him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's the best thing for Rudolph personally, especially he's kind of your guy to be in that situation. And I know that the fact that we're even entertaining the idea of him playing this week is surprising, but I do want to say, I see a lot of media blowback about, how are the Steelers letting Mason Rudolph practice? This is a reckless decision. They're not being careful enough with his health. I think that misunderstands what concussions are like. And while it was obviously a very serious and violent, injury and hit that occurred, a small, quote unquote, small concussion can be just as bad as those big vicious hits. So the idea of, if you get a small concussion, you just ding, you're fine, you can get back in there, versus a big hit, you can't play. That's not how it works. You either clear the protocol or you don't. It's about symptoms, not about the hit itself. So I just want to put it in the right frame, in the right context about what concussions are, how they work, and kind of how you get cleared if you follow the steps, regardless of how bad it looked out on the field. So if he's been cleared and gone through all the steps and is asymptomatic, then I'm fine with him getting cleared. I just think, there's a readiness standpoint. Can he be in a position to play? Has he got enough work? And I think that's a different question. But from a health standpoint, while it's a little surprising to see him work through it so quickly, if that's what's happening, I'm totally fine with that.
I mean, we've seen Ben miss games with it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this team doesn't mess around with concussions.
No, they're more on the. I consider them more on the conservative side when this. But I mean, the protocol is protocol.
Yep.
Now I guess a player could lie about certain things, but I would think there's enough safeguards in there that would help. Catch that. I mean, obviously, right. I'm not a doctor on it, but at no point do I ever question. Things when it comes to concussion protocol, and definitely with the Steelers.
Yeah. So let me just set the stage here for the players who are likely to be out, because we are looking at a long injury report. Let me rattle off some names. You tell me if I'm missing anyone or anyone you disagree with. Obviously, no Jalen Samuels. He's been ruled out. I don't expect James Washington to play. I don't expect Roosevelt Nix to play. I doubt Mark Barron's going to play. And I think that's going to be the list. So Samuels, Washington, Nix, Barron, I'm going to guess Vance gives it a go based off that he has been still working, and Tomlin seemed optimistic on Tuesday. Does that sound like a good list? And then Rudolph is up in the air. I'm not going to even speculate on that right now.
Yeah, so that's four of your inactives right there with Samuels, Nix, Washington, and Barron. Obviously, two offensive linemen in Fred Johnson, Chukwuma Okorafor. What does that leave us? I mean, that gets us to 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who's the seventh inactive there?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, it depends obviously what roster moves they're going to make or don't make Saturday. Rudolph could obviously slide in there. I don't know who the 7th could be.
Because if you get Chickalo...
Oh, Bugs, I guess.
Bugs. Yeah, absolutely. So there it is. I mean, it should be cut and dry like that, because here's what I expect to happen on Saturday now, to be quite honest with you. Mm-hmm. I only expect Trey Edmonds to be the one up.
So Rudolph's going to dress in your...
That's what I'm guessing is going to happen as we sit here right now, is that Rudolph will dress and be the backup. They will promote Trey Edmonds from the practice squad and release Jaron Elliott for that. And then so they will have Edmonds dress, obviously, and because I expect Chickalo to be back. Obviously a lot can happen in the next 48 hours or so. But once again, the telltale sign when it gets to Rudolph will be whether or not Lynch gets promoted from the practice squad. So, if he doesn't, then one way or the other, Rudolph's dressing, and then we'll just sit and wait to see if he starts.
I'm pretty heavily leaning towards agreeing with what you're saying there, that Edmonds will come up, Elliott will get cut, and that Rudolph is more likely to dress than not right now based on how this week has gone, even though it wouldn't be my favorite decision in the world. But I still would expect Hodges to start. Is that not that it's guaranteed, but it still seems like Hodges is going to start? Does that seem fair?
Yeah, I've been thinking that Hodges is going to start, really, be honest with you, ever since Rudolph went down with that hit.
Right. I thought too, but Rudolph is moving through protocol quicker than maybe what we anticipated.
Now, look, I mean, anything can happen with him. I mean, he could start having a headache today, in practice, and then, you're going to just rule him out at that point. You're not going to play around with that. So, I mean, it's far from decided, but once again, Saturday will tell us a lot, I think, and I'm, regardless of what happens, I'm expecting Hodges to start. Really am.
Yeah, and we'll talk about him. Let's talk about him partially now, because we'll switch to what the coordinators, they talk to the media as they always do on Thursday, and Fichtner talking about Duck Hodges. And I think the story was, if I can find it, that he called him Duck because he couldn't pronounce Devlin. Is that the story? Did you read that?
Yeah, he says, let's see, I'm trying to find.
I know it's a very minor thing, but it stuck out to me when I was reading it. Like, you didn't know how to pronounce Devlin.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact quote here in this. Do you have it?
I can try to pull up here.
Okay, no, it says what about back in May when he came in for his tryout? He says the very first time he got here, I just remember him throwing, I just remember him pushing the ball down the field, and I remember him making completions. Before I even knew what his name was, because I messed it up a few times, I just started calling him Duck. Then he started talking a little history about him calling and things like that, and I don't know the first thing about all of that. Randy don't know anything about duck calling.
South?
I don't know the first thing about all of that, and I couldn't basically say Devlin, so I said Duck, and that's how I know him. So
all right, so let me get this straight. Is that
it would be nice if we had some context here, but the Steelers refuse now to release these videos like they used to for stupid reasons. But
I think I know what Fichtner's saying, is that he didn't know that Hodges was a duck caller, but still somehow called him Duck. Crazy coincidence, and also didn't know how to pronounce Devlin. I know that's very minor, but it makes me laugh about just this is now the starting quarterback, the man who's the offense coordinator doesn't know how to pronounce his first name. That's kind of where we're at, week 6 into the 2019 season.
And I think when I listened to the press conferences from the Chargers this week as well too, and they didn't know anything about him.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anyone does. I mean, Steelers are still getting to know.
And Obviously he was asked too. I think Randy was. I'm trying to find that quote as well too. Who was the one that found him? And he basically said Colbert was.
Yeah.
He says, How did you come aware of Devlin? I think Kevin found him. Randy said. I think that he might have had a quick tryout the week before, maybe with the Giants, and then when they let him go, we were looking for numbers for our mini camp the following week, and from the minute he got here, you like the personality, you love his savvy as a quarterback, you like the way he gets the ball out of his hands. I'll still say I don't know everything about Duck, but we're learning, and so far I think we'll protect the football. And I've said this to the group offense. I say it to myself. I'll say it to you every week. We'll win We'll win games when we decide not to stop beating ourselves.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd love to know exactly how Colbert gets tied into that. Maybe at some point he had a connection along the way. But
they had somebody at it, or I think they had two people at his.
Yeah, I just segueing into that. I pulled up. I think we do that pro day tracker because it really becomes helpful sometimes. When you need it. Mark Gorsick was there, and an unknown personal member I couldn't identify were at Sanford's pro day. Now I thought they would look at the receiver, Kelvin McKnight, who put up big numbers. I think went to Denver for training camp. But yeah, so it was Gorsick and somebody else, not Colbert, at his pro day. So they were familiar with Hodges throughout the pre-draft process.
He was asked, but you didn't know him before the draft or do a study on him. And Randy says, not necessarily a full study, no. But I knew who he was because if I'm not mistaken, he might have been the Walter Payton Award winner. And my dad coached Walter, so I've always followed that. So I kind of knew who he was from that standpoint. But as far as scouting, no. At least he's honest. At least everybody's being honest with this. Nobody knew who the hell he was. If anything, too, I mean, and we'll obviously see how this goes if he ends up starting Sunday night. Devlin's going to be the champion of the FCS, right? I mean, people are going to start paying a little bit more attention, maybe to a few to some products coming out of there, much like they did way back in 1990 something when Steve McNair came out of Alcorn State. So and look, you go back. We talked about I enjoy going back and looking at tiny things like that. We talked about the 7 things, the 7 criteria for Bill Parcells, and I wrote that up after we got done talking the other day on Wednesday there, and just digging a little bit deeper back into the statistical element of what Hodges did at Sanford there. The thing is, he checks all those boxes. McNair did not check all 7 boxes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did he miss?
I think because there's some incomplete stuff. I think one of the seasons it's so hard to find the touchdowns and the interceptions. But I think his TD to interception ratio wasn't there, believe it or not. And I think the completion percentage was not where it needed to be.
Okay. So
those were a couple things right there. So now, obviously, look, we talk about this. We have fun with that Bill Parcells list, and I use it now. That's a starting point when I look at these quarterbacks every year. Since a couple, or it's only been a couple years since I've started using it. Obviously, since before Rudolph, but I'm going to continue to use it now. Is it the end all do all? Absolutely not. But Baker, Mayfield, and Mason Rudolph were the only 2 quarterbacks out of that class a year ago to check all 7 of those boxes. And there are probably some quarterbacks along the way that check all 7 of them that just don't get drafted or don't even get signed or things like that. And those guys obviously fall through the cracks there. But it'll be interesting. Devlin is certainly presenting a nice case study, like I said, for that. And he's also, if he has a good debut here and sticks around a little bit, a lot of people are going to probably pay a little bit closer attention maybe to some of these statistical great FCS quarterbacks.
Yeah, but I think Hodges is unique, and that's, to hear the coaches and teammates talk about it, it's just kind of how professional he is and how, cool, calm, collected. And whether that's, Fichtner talking about how after the Ravens tied things up in the fourth quarter, Steelers came out for with a one last kneel down to send it to OT. Hodges really hadn't worked under center before, so Fichtner goes up to him and says, hey, Duck, we're going to take a victory here just to get us to OT, and kind of worried about, should we do it under center, do it under shotgun, worried about the exchange. And Hodges just goes, no problem, coach, I'm a professional, goes out there and kneels it down. But I think to the bigger stuff is like setting protections, recognizing blitzes, and just, he said it during the week that, his first completion, the one to Deontay Johnson on a 3rd and 8, no less, was him changing the protection and his best throw of the day. A great timing route to Johnson, and the players, Pouncey was impressed by that, him coming in, commanding the huddle, and just kind of taking charge of things without any reps. And I didn't realize this. I don't know if we talked about this.
7-on-7 is all
yeah,
I
that
got.
Which is not football. It's skeleton. I mean, it's nothing. There's no line, and you're just playing pitch and catch. So he got no reps during the week, comes in cold, NFL debut, rookie, undrafted free agent, Baltimore late in the game, season basically on the line, like so many factors, and he just comes in and does an amazing job and plays big to the moment. So again, I kept using the phrase uncommon in the last podcast, but I think he's really an uncommon skill set and kind of level of play for his situation.
There is so many great Easter eggs when you go back and watch that really one play, right?
Oh my God, it's that
one play. I mean, there is here we are, 5 days removed, 6 days removed from it, and we're finally getting around to kind of, it'd be nice if we had the all 22 tape immediately after the game, but that's not the way it works. At least we get it by Monday night and all. But, I mean, you have Pouncey punching McPhee in the mouth on the play. I mean, and you have it's a long kind of intro to the play because, he even sent, who was it, Juju in a half motion just to help give McKee there.
Yeah, man coverage.
Yep. So he found out it's man coverage in that situation. He had him up to the line of scrimmage very, very quick in that situation. He changed, and McDonald and Al Villanueva turn around like, you got to be. Look at the reaction between Al, McDonald, and Ramon Foster on that side of the line. They're almost like, milk a what? But yeah, he changes protection there, and then obviously James Conner has to come across the pocket there to pick up the free man on that side. So that was a good call there, and then the protection, I guess, it shifted back to the right there. So everybody was covered, and the ball came out obviously before on time, and Johnson turns around, and that ball is on him, brother. I mean, if you go look back and look at the TV replay on that, that ball almost got there too quick for him, and that'll teach them receivers, man. When you get out of that break, you better look for that football. And I think that's one of the things that Dante Moncrief even said that kind of was a bit of a change for him with working with Ben right out of the chute there was, man, when you come out of them breaks, Ben puts it on you. So, hey, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but it was the single best throw Hodges made all day, and it's his first NFL completion.
Yeah, it's just been a great story, but can he carry that over to play West Coast on the road? A team that's preparing for him, a little different story.
The good thing about what also Randy had to say about him and Mason is, man, you have to kick those guys out of the film room, basically. Those two are, and the good thing is, it seems like Mason and Hodges are real close and become real good friends in a short period of time. And to see two young quarterbacks in there digging that deep, is obviously good to see. And you obviously hope that kind of thing happens with every quarterback in league wide. But it really, really looks like these two are doing their best to find out all they can about the opponent every week. And I think that played into Hodges' favor this past week against the Ravens, having to come in cold like he did.
I know we touched on this on the last show, but if Hodges does start, you're not really changing much of the offense, right? It's going to be basically the same.
Oh, hell yeah! And I mean, the only thing I'm doing is putting in more stuff that he wants to run.
Right.
That maybe Mason weren't maybe the favorite things on his stuff. I mean, look, you make no mistake about it. You're going to see that little bit of that Yankee concept. You're going to see hopefully some more switch routes. You're going to see some out routes, because if there's one thing that it appears, that you go back to his preseason tape as well too, Hodges can throw towards that sideline.
Mm-hmm. He's got the arm. Yeah, you need the arm to do it. Got it.
And he was deadly accurate. Like I said, if there was one thing that stuck out during that large breakdown of passes, 18, 19 passes, whatever it was that I did of his or did in the preseason, is that he could push that ball down the field to the sideline. So you're going to see that kind of stuff with him. And I try to get him. He is a little, and going back and how much of his college tape have you gone back and looked at since this is last week?
Honestly, just the Florida State game, because I knew he played so well in it, almost beat the Seminoles, who I think were a ranked team on the road. He threw 4 picks that game, but he made some big time high level plays, and I think that's what tells me is that obviously this is the NFL, it's still a different environment, but he's played in big situations, big pressure situations before, and has thrived in it, and that gives me a lot of confidence based on everything that he's done, obviously in the NFL so far, but going back to his college tape too.
Yeah, that's the thing that kind of worries me there is the pushing the ball down the field sometimes, taking shots maybe unnecessarily.
Sure. But it's better than the opposite. Tomlin's old saying, better say whoa than sick 'em.
Yeah, I'd much rather an opposition, though, intercept my ball in their own end zone than I would around my 30-yard line.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to win this game by doing this whole dink and dunk, Wildcat Bengals attack. If you're going to win this game, you're going to have to get some big chunk plays, and you may lose it too. But if you're going to go down swinging. So I think that's the mentality this team's got to have.
And you're right about that. You're going to have to have at least 4, maybe 5 explosive plays somehow, some way in this game. You're probably going to need your defense to force a turnover or two in this game, and you're probably going to have to run the football pretty decent and hopefully sit on a lead as well too in this game. So it's going to probably have to be a perfect storm here Sunday night. But look, he's not afraid to throw the football down the field. You just hope that he just doesn't have one of those 3 interception games as a result of that, because of him not being afraid to take chances down the field.
Yeah, but that's you got to take the good with the bad with the good. Is that he's going to be aggressive, and that's going to make him prone to maybe making a mistake or two that Mason Rudolph may not, but it also may result in him making a play that Rudolph may not be able to make at this current time. So we'll see what happens. Go ahead.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have
the facts of life.
Oh my God, you got another one! Holy,
2 for 2.
Holy moly, what the hell's going on here? Good for you. But yeah, look, how can you not be excited about this?
Yeah, I get a smile just talking about it. His name's Duck Hodges, and I shouldn't be smiling about a rookie undrafted quarterback starting for the Steelers in a year where he thought this team could go to the Super Bowl, but I'm grinning ear to ear right now. And again, I don't want to. I know we're putting him on a pedestal a little bit. I talked to some fans yesterday, and they were super excited for him. And he may go out there and lay an egg. It's not going to be perfect, but he's going to be fun to watch.
Lay an egg.
Yeah. I was unintentional, but I'll take credit for it anyway. So I want to flip to Keith Butler. I don't think he had as much to say because everything right now is focused on the quarterback situation. But obviously he was asked about, and rightfully so, what is the game plan going to be this year compared to last year? And basically reporters asking, begging, pleading with him, please do not put linebackers on Keenan Allen, and Butler hopefully will oblige.
Yeah, hopefully he does, and it sounds like he talked a little bit about catching hell about that on the golf course. I think I'm having to think that was from Ken Wisenhunt, right?
Does he golf with just Yinzers? I don't know, random Yinzers passing by. I don't know who Keith Butler golfs with.
I'm trying to. That's what I've been trying to decipher there. What was that? I'm trying to look over the quotes here real quick here. It looks like
I can read he says they got the matchups they wanted. Bad part about it, I had to hear it while I was playing golf last year. I think the bad part about it was losing the game, but I guess I was just upset that he got yelled at about it. I had to hear about how smart they were and how stupid we were. Well, that's accurate. They did a good job. Phillip Rivers has a real high football IQ. He can see what is out there. He can see who is matched up on who, whether we are playing fire zone or whether we are playing zone or whatever. He does a good job sniffing it out. Yeah, it's pretty easy when John Jon Bostic's 2 feet away from Keenan Allen. It's a pretty easy matchup to identify. It is going to be a challenge for us to play against them. Now, I know last year they used the excuse of having injuries, but there was no Cam Sutton that game, I don't think. They used Marcus Allen, and really his only snaps of the season, so they got put in some tough situations from that aspect. Hopefully this team's healthier this time around. Still some question marks with Nelson and Hilton. Hopefully those guys can go, but on paper, this team does feel better equipped health-wise and talent-wise to deal with that better than they did last year.
All the way around there, yes. They're a healthiher defense. The front seven's playing well. The back end, with Minka now being in there a few weeks, and look, Cameron Sutton's played good. Steven Nelson's played well in there. There's no excuses other than the scheme being bad this time.
Yeah, and some more versatility. Nelson can kick inside, whereas last year Burns Sensabaugh really couldn't. Burns definitely really couldn't. Sensabaugh hadn't done it in a while. So I think if they play empty and those spread looks like they did against the Bengals, where they really got good matchups, then they'll be fine. If they do the stuff they did last year and they don't match properly, then obviously it's going to be an issue again.
And, Wisenhunt, I would listen to his press conference yesterday about that as well, too. And he said, look, I mean, yeah.
Who? Wisen?
Yeah.
Lynn?
Huh?
Whose press conference?
Ken Wisenhunt.
Okay.
With the Chargers.
Oh, okay. Okay, my bad. I thought you were talking about Anthony Lynn for a second. I know what you're saying.
No,
yeah.
with their offensive coordinators.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
Listen to him, and he was talking about, look, he was asked, what can you learn from last year? And he says, look, you can learn a lot. They still do a lot of the same things, but the personnel is a lot different and all. And he says, just like us, we do a lot of the same things offensively still, but we hope that we do some other things better now. So these he admitted as well too that there's going to be some filling out on both sides that. And even the defensive coordinator said that as well too. Man, they got two former head coaches as coordinators over there, right? And make adjustments as you go there. So that's kind of what I expect both sides to fill each other out. Now the help me out, I'm drawing a blank here. Who's your defensive coordinator? Jaguars old defensive-minded head coach
Gus Bradley.
Gus Bradley. He says he's preparing for both quarterbacks right now. So he says. But even their head coach had come out a few days ago and said he was talking about Devlin Hodges. He was outstanding. He says he came right in the game and moved them right down the field and scored. So. So there you go. But back to what Keith Butler said and about this defense. They match up good with them this time around. They really do. And I'm not sure if this is one thing that we knew on the Wednesday show. Maybe we did. Mike Pouncey went to IR. Did we know that?
I think it was after that we found out. I want to say.
So Mike Pouncey went to IR for them. They're going to have their guard move over and play center, which isn't probably necessarily a bad thing for them, as bad as one would think. I think he's played pretty decent at center, but they are going to have Forrest Lamp come in and play left guard for them. So not having Mike Pouncey in there, though, is a win for the Steelers. Make no mistake about it there. So back to really Butler in the scheme. Just don't put a damn linebacker on Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it happens maybe once in a game in his own coverage, but just how constant it happened, how predictable it was, and then big kind of moments last year. Obviously the third down play that helped them set up the game-winning field goal, make that a pretty manageable kick, was just brutal. But I think this team's better equipped, better talent, and hopefully. I think it's more versatility too with the group of guys like Steven Nelson, Minka, what Hilton can do, Cam Sutton playing better and has a lot of versatility too. So that'll be important. This team has still struggled versus empty. The Bengals, they did play well. Everyone else, they have struggled. Baltimore gave up a touchdown versus empty last year. So I expect the Chargers to recognize that and to come out and spread the field out and force the Steelers to defend the entire field.
Keith Butler even got caught up in duck in what are we calling this, Duck Dynasty here? Could you tell that Devlin Hodges wasn't the typical camp arm? He says just watching him in the preseason, he looks like to me that he is a very well schooled young man in terms of playing football, more so than anything else in that game. I don't know if you noticed, the one pass I was really impressed with was a deep out on our offensive right that he threw before the receiver came out of his break. As soon as the receiver came out of his break, he hit him right in the chest. As soon as he got his head around, he hit him right in the chest. It was a big-time throw. You see people like Dan Fouts. Was Dan Fouts really the first name that came to his mind? That's what got me with Keith Butler there. He says, you see people like Dan Fouts making throws like that. Welcome to 2000, Keith.
That's how do you do, fellow kids moment for Keith Butler. Everyone's favorite quarterback.
Yeah, making throws like that. You don't see young guys making throws like that. To me, that was impressive. I hope he continues to develop. I think he will help us. We have to support him, though. We have to support him offensively and defensively. We have to help the young man out as much as we can. Hear, hear.
Yeah, well, at least Fouts is in the booth, so I guess he's a little relevant even for today's youth with, what's that, Iron Eagle, Bird in the Beard, they call him up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I think that was it really for Butler. Anything else the coordinator said you wanted to touch on here?
Yeah, nothing that, nothing really stuck out to me too much other than that. I mean, look, he talked about how Minka has progressed. He says a lot more progress than he was. He is learning the defense quite a bit. He is still learning it, but he is a smart guy, and he can handle some of the stuff we are putting on him. I'm really interested to see how he develops as the year goes along because he has gotten better and better.
And also, by the way, if you're wondering who the emergency quarterback is this week, it is Ryan Switzer. Fichtner confirms as he wears the band every week in case he has to come in, which I'm sure Steelers fans are thrilled about.
Yeah, and he had 4 pass attempts, I think, at North Carolina. I think all of them were the same play. I haven't found 2 of them yet, but I know 2 of them were kind of the double pass situations there with him coming in kind of orbit motion behind the quarterback, getting over to one side, getting one pass, and then throwing it downfield there. So, and I couldn't tell where he played any quarterback in high school either. So kind of weird how, look.
He played baseball by chance? Do you know? His...
I didn't look, or I don't remember if I did know, kind of situation there. But look, you don't want to get in a situation where he's in the game. However, being as people are talking about that, being as how that question came up, makes me wonder if somebody saw something in practice today. Of course, those guys can't talk about anything in practice unless they ask somebody about it and they get an answer. You know what I'm saying? So
sure.
I wonder if they ran some sort of trick play this week in practice with Switzer. Maybe this one trick play that he ran in college, and now it's got me wondering, are we going to see Switzer throw a football Sunday night?
Right. Well, I need you to be very specific, Dave, because you called it last week, and it was Jalen Samuels throwing a pick, so I need you to say something real positive here about Ryan Switzer.
Okay, I want this to be on the Steelers plus 40 or further down the field, and I want it to be a deep pass attempt that if it is intercepted, it doesn't hurt.
All right. Well, I asked for something positive, and I got if it is intercepted. But give me a who's he throwing it to?
Johnny Holton.
To Holton, and for how many yards are they gaining on this completion?
38.
38. So no touchdown. Well, it could be a touchdown.
It could be. I don't know.
No.
I'm not going to call him a shot there.
All right.
Because he tends to underthrow.
Yeah. All right. So let's say no touchdown. I'm gonna guess.
Could you see? Look, I was okay with Samuels doing something like that because, it's just because he had a little bit of experience doing it as well too. I guess he had about as much experience as Ryan Switzer has there. So I think it's and I really thought we were going to see that last week, but not in the method that we saw it.
Yeah. Right.
But I can't help but wonder if we're going to see something like that, with Switzer on Sunday night.
You give me a down and distance and a time of the game. I want to get as specific as possible. Because if you call it, remember, did you ever see that clip of that Mariners broadcaster calling a home run a couple years back? I'm trying to recreate this. It's one of the most insane predictions ever.
I'm gonna say I think something like that. You go ahead and get it out of the playbook in the first half. So
yeah, well, they did that last week.
Right. I'm gonna say early second quarter. I don't know, between the 40s.
All right, between the 40s.
Why are you needling me on this? You really want?
I'm not needling. No, if I want you to get this right, I'm rooting for you. Imagine if you get this right.
Okay.
You'll be retired. I'm just saying. Listen, because you were too vague last week because you called the trick play, but then it got picked. I'm just trying to get real specific here. Just trying to bring us some good luck.
I mean, look, I have these visions. Sometimes, sometimes they're related to other things. You know what I'm saying?
But wires get crossed. All right. Well, I want to talk about the Chargers and preview the game and what the Steelers have to do to get a win here and try to turn the season around. But before we do that, we're going to talk to our buddy Eric Williams, who we've had on the show for a long time now. Again, covers the Chargers for ESPN. So we'll talk to Eric Williams and then come back.
Okay, welcome back to the Terrible Podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, play the Los Angeles Chargers Sunday night in L.A. And as we usually like to do, we like to have an opposing beat writer on to discuss the upcoming game. And that means with it being the Chargers this week, we're pleased to have back on the show a third time for him. He's joined the Three Timers Club now. Eric D. Williams. He's the ESPN Nation beat writer who covers the Los Angeles Chargers for ESPN.com. And you can follow Eric on Twitter at Eric_D_Williams. Eric, welcome back to the Terrible Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me again. My third time on. I feel like I should get a T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
Door prize.
Yeah. Well, Rice-A-Roni, a year's supply of Rice-A-Roni.
We gave that out last week, didn't we, Dave?
Yeah, I think we gave out the Rice-A-Roni last week. We had but no, in all seriousness, you've been a hit every time you've been on. You do a great job. I know you've covered the Chargers for a long time. Weren't you on another beat before the Chargers beat?
Yeah, I've covered the Chargers since 2013. Before that, I covered the Seahawks from
That's right.
08 to 13.
You know what? You might be a four-timer. It seems like we might have had you on one time when you were with the covering the Seahawks, because we've had this podcast going since about 2009. I'll have to double check. I'm getting up there in age.
That's correct.
Well, correct that. We're going to have to bump him up, Alex, from the Rice-A-Roni then.
He gets to watch now, right?
Eric, obviously a big game for the Steelers and the Chargers. The Chargers, of course, coming off that loss last week there. Steelers really, disappointing start of the season, of course, losing Ben Roethlisberger, and it looks like or sounds like, obviously, nothing set in stone because Mason Rudolph was limited in practice on Wednesday, but it looks like there's a decent chance that Devlin Hodges will start this game, and obviously trying to take on a soon-to-be probably Hall of Fame quarterback in Phillip Rivers and the Chargers on the road, where Mike Tomlin's teams have not played well over the years, except for that one win a couple years ago against the Chargers there. When we look at the Chargers to start this season here, probably kind of disappointing from an overall 30,000-foot view there, but give us a quick little recap on this team 5 weeks into the season.
No, I think that's fair. I think disappointing is the right word. I think this is a team that, at least nationally, people were talking about them as a team that could potentially contend for a Super Bowl or be in that conversation. Just when you looked at the roster, I think to start the season, they had one of the more talented rosters in the league. Obviously, that's changed now, though, because of all the injuries that they've been dealing with, really since the start of training camp when Derwin James went down with a foot injury. But they're hopeful they're going to get Derwin back at some point this season. So 2-3, the way that they've lost has been similar to kind of the Mike McCoy era, where really it's been self-inflicted wounds or things that they've done to themselves more so than what their opponent has done. I think the one stat that really highlights their struggles is they've been inside the 2-yard line 4 times and come away with no points, turn the ball over. You just can't do that if you want to be a team that believes they can be in the playoffs. They need to do a better job of taking care of the football and obviously scoring when they get near the goal line.
Big news coming out of the Chargers today with Mike Pouncey going on IR with a neck injury. And I heard Anthony Lynn talk about that a little bit earlier in the day. And I know it's kind of hard to pick up when exactly maybe that happened in this game this past week as well, too. It doesn't sound like, I know Anthony said, well, maybe this was something, that had been coming along all the time here. But definitely a big blow for them. Even though, Dan Feeney, I'm guessing Dan Feeney would be the one to move over to left guard like he did in that game, and then Forrest Lamp will probably fill in there at left guard, and those two I think played at those positions, center at left guard during the preseason there. How big? Look, Mike Pouncey's an all-pro, Pro Bowl type guy, but what is the drop-off level from him to Feeney and then Forrest Lamp coming in there at left guard?
I think it's significant, and you mentioned it was almost like they were kind of preparing themselves for this because they had Feeney do a lot of work at center during training camp, and they believe that's his natural position in the league because he's a little light for a guard. So he got a lot of reps training camp and in preseason games at center. I think from a beat reporter's perspective, you thought maybe they were just kind of resting Pouncey because he was an older player, had dealt with obviously hip issues in the past. But maybe perhaps that neck thing was going on then, and it's just something that progressively got worse over time. When Lynn talked about Pouncey on Monday, he kind of alluded to the fact that maybe there might be something more significant there, that he was concerned for Pouncey's health. And after they had tests with the doctors, basically they shut Pouncey down. Lynn didn't say whether the injury is career ending or not. So you wish the best for Pouncey and hope that he can get healthy. But in terms of the Chargers, I think it is a significant downgrade just because you have a guy at center that hasn't played there a whole lot versus a guy that was very experienced at center. It was a Pro Bowl type level center. So the communication obviously is going to be an issue. And then you have 2 guys playing at different positions that they haven't really been playing at consistently week in and week out. Chargers like Forrest Lamp as well. He's a guy they drafted in the second round a couple of years ago, had a torn ACL, so missed his rookie year. They've just been trying to get him healthy. And, at the offensive line, it's really important to get reps. So now he's going to get all the reps that he can imagine with Pouncey being out, and we'll see how he plays.
And I think you wrote today even on ESPN.com that you look at now with the loss of Pouncey that Michael Schofield becomes really the senior most experienced guy on that offensive line now with something like 3 years experience and all. Now we saw Tevy last year, I think, at right tackle in that game against the Steelers. We saw I'm pretty sure we saw Feeney at left guard. I think Schofield may be in that game at right guard. I can't remember. But the newcomer, I think, over there really with Okung still out and doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. Trent Scott over there at left tackle. Tell us a little bit about Trent Scott.
Yeah, Trent Scott, I think in most schemes probably would be more like a right tackle. He's more of a run blocker than a dancing bear left tackle, but just because of the way they situated their line, they didn't want to move Tevy from right tackle to left tackle because they played there all year last year and was comfortable there. So Trent Scott, as you can imagine, has struggled at times. He actually played okay last week, I think, against the Broncos, dealing with Von Miller. But I think his play is going to be up and down just because he's a young player and he's still learning the league, learning the position. But he's a guy who has strong hands, probably a better run blocker than pass blocker, and a guy I'm sure that the Steelers will look to attack on Sunday.
Eric, to stick with the injury situation, obviously you guys have been hit hard, by a good amount of injuries this year, especially on the offensive side of the football. Hunter Henry at tight end. I saw he got in some practice today. I don't know what the expectation is to play this Sunday. Are you expecting him to go? And if not, is it still going to be Virgil Green and Lance Kendricks at tight end?
No, Hunter's got a chance to play. I talked to him in the locker room today, and he said he feels good. He was limited today. He did some work on the side last week with the trainers and seemed to be moving pretty well. I talked to Anthony Lynn about Hunter and kind of what he needs to see. He just want to make sure that Hunter's fully healthy. they know that his condition, he's not going to be there because he hasn't played since week 1. So maybe they could play him on a limited snap count on game day. But I would say that it's trending towards Hunter possibly playing on game day, which would give you tight ends of Hunter, Lance Kendrick, as you mentioned, and Virgil Green, those 3. Although they like Steven, I think his last name's Anderson, guy they picked up that was with Houston last year, I believe.
Okay, gotcha. And then just to kind of take a step back, you mentioned at the top about the issues of the self-inflicted wounds by the Chargers. So I thought it was really interesting. It's kind of similar to Pittsburgh, where 4 of your 5 games this year have been decided by a touchdown or less, the only exception being that win over Miami, which probably most fans felt was too close for comfort for the first half of that one. You guys are 1-3 in those one-possession games. Why has this team been able to been unable to finish these games, and like Pittsburgh, again, 3 losses by a combined 9 points. So is it just those self-inflicted wounds that have caused them to lose those tight games, or is there something else that's contributing to that issue as well?
No, I think that's it. I think it's decision-making. I mean, they went 12-4 last year, and they won a lot of those games, a lot of one-score games at the last second. You watch one of them. They won at Pittsburgh in a game that you watch, and like, how did they even win that game? And they were pretty much getting dominated for most of the game.
We're asking ourselves the same thing.
But I mean, in order to go 12-4 or 13-3, to have that kind of record, a lot of things have to fall your way. I mean, that's just the way the league works. So they were able to make teams beat them. I mean, that's why the Patriots win year in, year out. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and they count on the other team making mistakes, which ultimately happens, and they end up getting a victory in those final moments because they do the things that you need to do to win. The Chargers haven't done that, and it's tough to kind of replicate or recreate the kind of success that you had in the previous year because the rosters are different. Everything is different. And so you're constantly trying to find that blueprint that you had for success last year. Phillip hasn't done a great job of taking care of the football. I mean, let's just be honest. He has 3 interceptions in the end zone. So he needs to do a better job in those situations where they're going in the score. Austin Eckler has 2 fumbles at the goal line. We kind of like to have Melvin Gordon in those situations, I would think. A healthy Melvin Gordon that's actually had a training camp and practice. So I just think it's a lot of different things where they just haven't established their identity for how they're going to play winning football. And they're hoping that starts for them on Sunday.
Obviously, when you look at Keenan Allen needs no introduction, one of the league's top wide receivers, off to another great start this year, something like 38 catches, around almost 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. But Austin Eckler leading the team with 39 receptions through the first 5 weeks here. I would think that maybe his role starts declining a little bit as Gordon starts playing a bigger role here. But why does it seem so hard for them to get the ball? He has hit a lot of different receivers there. I mean, so props to Phillip Rivers for spreading the ball around there. But it just I think Mike Williams is next on the team with 14 catches there. I mean, is this just an offense that's going to run through dump off? And also, if you look at Phillip Rivers' completion percentage, no wonder it's so high because he's got so many dump offs in there this year. Is that what you're saying?
Well, traditionally, Phillip probably completes between 65 and 68%. So he's kind of at the mark where he's at usually. They didn't have as many chunk plays last week against the Broncos, and that's because Fangio basically just took Keenan away, doubled him, played somebody over the top, and played cover 2 shell and just said, hey, go ahead and dink and dunk, and we'll rally to the football and make up the tackles, and they were able to successfully do that. So, yeah, you're right. They have to figure out a way to get Keenan Allen involved if teams are trying to take him away, which they're going to do. It can't just be Austin. Mike Williams has to be involved. And I think if Hunter does play, that gives you another option on offense in terms of another weapon that can attack the middle of the field. Along with that, they have to have balance, and that's where Melvin Gordon comes into play. Melvin looked kind of out of sorts in his first game back. Didn't look comfortable. I don't think his vision was totally there in terms of, reading the defense and knowing pre-snap where he wants to run the football. I expect him to be better this week. And you guys remember Melvin didn't play in that game last year against the Steelers. Justin Jackson actually was a guy that had a couple big runs late in the game.
Yeah, sure did.
You won't see Justin, I don't think. He has a calf injury. He hasn't played in the last couple weeks. But you will see Melvin, and I do think that Melvin's going to take on an even larger role than he had last week.
Speaking of Melvins, switching over to the other side of football, it looks like the Steelers might avoid Melvin Ingram this week. I see he didn't practice. I think it's a hamstring with him, but is he going to miss this game?
Yeah, it's looking that way. I know he'd like to play. He's trying to talk his way onto the field, but with hamstrings, they're concerned about that being a lingering injury that stays with you for the entire season. So they want to make sure guys are fully healthy and healed from that so they get back on the field. So I would say it's probably trending to Melvin not playing. We'll see what happens on Thursday and Friday. But the guy that played in his place, Uchenna Nwosu, played pretty well last week, had a strip sack, had a bunch of pressures. I thought was pretty effective. I think he played 90% of the snaps as well. So I'm interested to see if he can duplicate that effort again for a second straight week.
Yeah, I remember watching a lot of Nwosu tape coming out of USC there ahead of that draft. A real talented player for sure. Bosa, they going to switch sides with those two, or they're going to do that?
Yeah, they'll move those guys around. They'll sometimes play those guys on the same side like they do with Melvin and Bosa. One guy will rush from the inside and one will rush off the edge. So they have the ability to flip those guys around to try to find the most favorable matchup. So you'll see those two guys on the edge in obvious passing rush situations, and then you'll see Jerry Tillery, their first-round pick, and Isaac Rochelle probably will be the defensive tackles in obvious pass rushing situations.
Well, that Thomas Davis has been around a long time, hasn't he? What kind of season is he off to? They've had a little bit of problems with the run at times, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, teams have gashed them. I think they gave up 260 to the Colts and still managed to win. And then, Philip Lindsay looked like Barry Sanders last week. I mean, he was just darting in and out of cuts, and they had trouble, corralling him. So, I think Davis did a good job of kind of providing a steady influence in that linebacker room, which is a young group of guys. He can still play. I just think they needed to limit his snap count of how much he's on the field and get some of those younger linebackers involved, particularly on passing situations. So I think you're going to see Drew Tranquil continue to play more, a fourth-round pick out of Notre Dame. He has some athleticism, a former safety, and he did a pretty good job when he was out there. Javis Brown's another guy that can run and chase. And then Kaiser is playing that Otto or Sam linebacker position, which Uchenna would normally be playing, but he's playing their Leo or weak side defensive end position because Ingram's out. So I would look for them to get those younger guys out there. And then if they're going to be playing a young quarterback, Bradley usually tries to disguise and mix things up to mess with the younger quarterbacks to see if they can get the ball.
How has the defense been able to deal with the loss of not only Derwin James but Adrian Phillips? Do you still use that 6DB kind of look you guys ran against Baltimore in the playoffs last year? Is that still going on? And just in general, who's kind of sliding into that box safety role?
Yeah, they use it, but they don't use it as much, and that's because Adrian's not available. Right. Jalen Watkins is their dime guy, so if he's in there, they're probably in that 6DB look. But Jalen's only playing 10 or 15 snaps, so they're either in base or nickel. Desmond King is one of the better nickel defenders, so they like to get him on the field a lot. Although I think he only played 20-something snaps, so I think they were in base a lot just because of they're getting gashed in the run game, and the Broncos chose to attack them by playing two tight ends, so base was out there a lot. But I think their best sub package is probably nickel when Desmond's out there.
Yeah, King's a guy that scares me. He's got 2.5 sacks, the punt return. He's got a punt return touchdown this year. He got the Steelers home one last year. Yeah, absolutely. My last question for you, Eric, and I'll turn it back over to Dave. I'm the special teams guy of the podcast. I love being able to ask a question. Your kicker situation's been a weird one with Michael Bagley. He was been injured. I don't know if he's playing this week. You had Ty Long doing kicks and punts. You signed a kicker this week. Like, what is going on there? Why did they wait so long to sign a true kicker, and what prompted them to do that? And is he playing this week?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, they basically just kind of rolled the dice, and it's amazing at how bad it's been. I mean, in terms of Ty Long, he's a guy that punt and kicked for the BC Lions in the CFL League. It was 18-game season, so he's always done that. So they didn't feel too concerned about his health, but then he hurt his left foot kicking. And I think in the Miami game. Badgley's been dealing with this groin situation basically since the start of the season. I don't know if he injured it during training camp, but they don't want to roll him out there too early and then have it extend through the regular season. So that's why they waited a while to bring a kicker in, because Tai Long was doing a good job for the most part of handling all the duties. But then when he injured his foot, they wanted to just make sure he could punt. And then they brought a kicker in, Chase McLaughlin, who had a kick tipped, I believe, 48-yarder, but otherwise I think was solid. So I think you're probably going to see Chase kick again. I think Badgley's probably going to sit for another week. He didn't practice on Wednesday. And then Tai Long will be the punter. He's done a good job punting for them. Has helped put field position. It's been solid. So for the most part, they've been solid in special teams. It's just these injuries. Caleb Sturgis last year had a groin, and that's why they brought in Badgley. And then Badgley was money. I think he made 15 out of 16. Had a franchise best 59-yarder that he made last year. So you thought they were set there, but then he has the groin injury, and now they're kind of shuffling again.
I looked a lot of tape of Jerry Tillery coming out. I think it was Notre Dame there. How has he looked so far?
Kind of meh. I mean,
yeah.
I think at times he's been effective. I think motor, you want to see it all the time, and just haven't seen that. He was coming off of shoulder labrum surgery that he had in March, so they didn't use him a lot during training camp. They wanted to make sure he was fully healthy. So that could be part of it too. And then, the change from going to college to pro and the talent level that you're dealing with as a pro athlete. I think he has a sack and a half, maybe 10 tackles. So he has made some of an impact, but maybe not as what you would expect from a first-round pick.
Assuming that, the Steelers are probably going to be without James Washington, one of their receivers this week with a shoulder injury. That might force Dante Moncrief back into on the active list this week as well too. And they lost Jalen Samuels to a knee injury for about a month here, and at least they got a couple.
How are they going to score points?
Oh man, good question. And with Devlin Hodges likely to start here, how would you attack? Knowing the possible personnel groupings, that the Steelers might use this week, and they haven't been great overall consistently for sure on the run. Now, would you still try to use some 2 tight end sets and try to run after just run it down the Chargers' throat and maybe throw out of kind of those heavy packages to those tight ends?
Yeah, we're thinking along the same lines. I would definitely see if they could stop the run, because they've been so far pretty much ineffective in doing that. I'd run it right at them and see if they're able to handle that. And then, like you said, play action off of that. Maybe see if you can get some chunk throws and see if you can beat them deep that way. That would be, I think, the way to attack, instead of going 3 receiver and then asking your young quarterback to make fast, quick decisions against a pretty experienced defense.
Do you think Casey Hayward has he been following people around, or has he been staying on his side?
No, I think he followed Cortland Sutton around most of the game last week. So I imagine he might be the guy that gets Schuster and follows him around, because obviously they're going to want to try to limit his plays.
All right, good enough then. Just tell the Tai Long to kick it down to about the 4-yard line, and the Steelers will return it to about the 12. That's all he has to do there. Eric, it's a little bit earlier in the week here, but this show isn't going to air until the Friday podcast episode there. So with that in mind, I know the not all the injury reports out, but we usually try to get a prediction out of all of our beat writers when they come on. What do you see as an early look? We'll only hold you to it if you're wrong.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. No pressure.
It's a policy of ours.
I'll say 24-13. I just don't know how the Steelers are going to score. That would be my main concern. But if they get turnovers, then maybe they could get on the board a little easier. But I know Gus Bradley, the defense coordinator, is usually pretty good against young quarterbacks. I mean, the most obvious one is Nathan Peterman, 5 picks and a half, and that was a rout. But, Hodges looked pretty good last week. Quick little fact, Hodges is from Alabama, and Rivers said he's from a town about an hour or 2 hours away from him. But he said he didn't know Hodges or his family, but just thought that was kind of interesting. I guess, yeah, 24-13 is the score I'll go with for now.
All right, sounds good then, and we appreciate most definitely giving your insight on the Chargers again. And who knows, should a miracle happen, maybe these teams will somehow meet in the playoffs later on this season. But Eric, once again, thanks for being on the Terrible Podcast. Once again, we appreciate your insight, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for having me. If they do meet the playoffs, I hope it's in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I always enjoy going there, so I would be up for a return visit.
Fantastic. That's Eric D. Williams, ESPN Nation writer for covers the Chargers, of course, for ESPN.com. Please make sure you read his work on ESPN.com. Follow him on Twitter at Eric_D. Williams. And make sure you reach out to him and tell him you heard him on the Terrible Podcast. Eric, once again, thanks for being on the show.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
And again, our thanks to Eric Williams. You can follow him on Twitter at Eric_D_Williams, covering the Chargers for ESPN. Always great to have him on the show. Appreciate his insight.
Yeah, I couldn't believe we've had him on as many times as we had him on the show, and I had him on, when he covered the Seahawks as well too. Some of these guys we unfortunately only get to talk to about once. Obviously we talked to them last year, and we'll see where these two teams, of course, finish up in the standings there. But he's one of the better ones that you like having on the show, breaking things down.
Absolutely. And again, as Dave suggested at the end of the interview, Steelers Nation, if you're on Twitter by chance and you want to give them a shout on Twitter, we'd really appreciate that. Just because I know it takes they're busy guys. The beat job is a very busy one. A lot of travel, a lot of things going on during the season. So if you could just give him a shout and say thanks for coming on the show, we appreciate your insight. I think that does a lot of good and just lets them know that they are being heard, and that makes us feel good too.
Absolutely.
All right, Dave, let's get to previewing this game, and we'll start with the Chargers offense. Again, the Chargers are a 2-3 team coming off a loss, probably disappointing, I'm sure, in the fans' eyes, to the Denver Broncos last week. Again, this is a Chargers team, as I told Eric, that struggled in one-possession games, and the Steelers are in a similar boat. The Chargers are 1-3 in games decided by 7 points or less, and 3 of the Steelers' 4 losses have come by combined 9 points. But to start with the Chargers offense, obviously they're going to get Melvin Gordon back, really kind of full go this time after getting eased in the last 2 weeks. Phillip Rivers still a quarterback, but similar to the Bengals, where that offensive line is the real weak spot, and I think the Steelers pass rush can really get after it.
Yeah, you got to do a good job on these early downs on keeping them behind the chains for sure with this group, because I think they're going to they have a line that I think is better built for running the football than it is pass protecting quite a bit, and pass protecting for long instances there. So you got to focus in. And look, I mean, they got some good running backs back there in Eckler and obviously in Melvin Gordon as well too. So they're going to be looking, and they're not afraid to use the fullback again in Derek Watt. They're not afraid to put some multiple tight ends out there. It's going to be interesting. Are they going to have Hunter Henry back this week? And even if he plays, what's the snap count going to be on him? I'm thinking he's not going to play anything more than maybe 30, 35 snaps in this game. And because of his conditioning, you probably don't want Hunter Henry out there run blocking right away, right? I mean,
right. He's been limited the last 2 days, so I feel like he's probably not going to go, but if he does, we'll certainly be on a pitch count.
And Virgil Green, he's more of a pass catcher too, right?
Well, they barely thrown to their tight ends. I think the other 2 tight ends, aside from Henry, have 6 catches for 60 yards or something, which is basically what Henry did in week 1.
Right. Now Derek Watt, he's a hell of a lead blocker, and you can bet they're probably looking at that San Francisco tape a little bit when it comes in. They're not afraid to put the football in his hands a couple times during the game as well too. But Austin Eckler, a heck of a pass catcher out of the backfield. He leads their team in receiving, and that's probably mainly because Melvin Gordon missed the first couple of games there. The offense will obviously try to work through Keenan Allen. As we saw last year, they will try to move Keenan Allen all over. I mean, just think about the way the Steelers use Juju. They will do the same thing with Keenan Allen. Mike Williams, probably a little bit underrated wide receiver, right? But I mean, they haven't been able to get the football in his hands probably as much as they'd probably like to. The rest of the wide receivers, though, Travis Benjamin, Was he one that got them last year? Got the Steelers last year?
He's always been a thorn in the Steelers
Sure
side.
has.
I can't remember what last year was. I know in Cleveland and other times he's been an issue. I can't remember what he did last year. Yeah, Mike Williams has been hurt. I think he had a back issue, so he hasn't. The numbers don't look great, but he's a big body, red zone threat. Obviously a size advantage. So that's a guy that really does worry me. A guy that I think can have that random 2-touchdown day just because he is such a big body. So they got some weapons, absolutely. I mean, Allen is 10 receptions on third down. That's second in the NFL. I mean, when it's third down, Philip Rivers knows he's looking for number 13.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got to do. I mean, we saw what happened last year. This guy will have 9 catches for 100 yards on you in a hurry. As well, too. I mean, he's going to have his catches in this game, obviously, but man, you got to keep him around. I don't know what 7 for 80 and out of the end zone. Would you sign up for that right away?
Yeah, I mean, I want to make sure I'm limiting him on third down. That's kind of the big number I want to circle is can I take him away on third down, make someone else have to step up and produce a play and move the sticks. But if it's 7 for 80, no touchdown, I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable.
Philip Rivers, I mean, we obviously know quite a bit about him over the years. He's made some mistakes with the football this year, especially in the red zone.
Right, that's what Eric was talking about, is that they've had a lot of issues even like down inside the 2-yard line with the turnovers. They had one last week versus Denver. They tried to go for it on 4th and goal right before the end of the first half, and they tried to do, I think, this jet play to Eckler and couldn't get the edge, fumbled the ball out of bounds. They didn't score. So they're trying to convert their red zone offense is bottom third in football. But the thing the offense does well, they do a lot of things well that concern me, but the biggest thing is I know this offense, the Chargers offense, is going to attack the middle of the field. They love levels concepts. They love these pin routes, which is a post and in combination designed to stress the safety and help open up the middle of the field. And there's one area that this defense has still struggled with. It has been the middle of the field. So if you're in man, you got to be able to play tight to that inside hip. If you're in zone, you got to get depth, be able to squeeze those windows. So defending basically between the numbers is going to be a big critical component for the Steelers defense.
And we talked about Mike Pouncey going on IR. Dan Feeney moves over. They consider him more of a true center anyway, to hear the coaches talk and all. And you know, all that I've heard about him so far. And then, of course, watching the end of that Broncos game there. I thought he played reasonably well when he moved over to center there. Obviously, he got a lot of work at center during the preseason, but he's not Mike Pouncey. Okay, plain and simple. He's not Mike Pouncey. If he was a better center than Mike Pouncey, he'd be playing center already there. So that's one of the things when it comes to him. Another look, Forrest Lamp having to play left guard. I think that's a win for the Steelers and Cam Hayward as well too on that side. So I mean, this is not their normal offensive line.
Yeah, there's not one matchup between the trenches that scare me. I think they're all in the Steelers' favor, whether you're talking Hayward, Tuitt, Hargrave, even Dupree, and obviously T.J. Watt. I mean, there's not one matchup where I say this guy's going to definitely struggle versus this Chargers offensive lineman. It doesn't mean they're always going to win, obviously, or guaranteed success, but I think the Steelers have the arrow pointed towards them in each of these matchups. So I expect this pass rush to be able to get constant pressure on Philip Rivers.
I do too, and if you could get him in 3rd and long situations, or if you can somehow manage to have, a lead later in the game, make no mistake about it. I don't think either of us expect a 2-possession lead by the Steelers at any point in this game. But if you do get one, especially in 3rd or 4th quarter, you can pin your ears back and get after Philip Rivers, and that's when he's probably most likely to make his mistakes, and that's when you're most likely to get to him. But he's not afraid to dump this ball out quick to whatever back or whatever, to the Watt boy, out of the backfield as well too. So they know that they have their hands full this week with the Steelers front 7.
And you can reasonably expect, because the Chargers know that they're probably overmatched when it comes to trying to protect Rivers, they're going to plan on getting the ball out as quickly as possible. That's going to be stressing the flat, hitting Eckler, trying to go quick game, screen game, RPO game, stuff like that. So Eckler, they do a great job finding the ball in his hands. They run these basically clear-out routes where they'll send number one vertical or on an in route to help get the back in the flat one-on-one with the linebacker, and Eckler's the guy, and Gord obviously can too, make guys miss in space. So how the Steelers linebackers, we talk about linebackers matching up on receivers, we obviously don't want that to happen, but how the Steelers linebackers match up on the Chargers' backs is going to be really one of the keys to this game. How do they handle Gordon and Eckler, especially Eckler in space? He's got 39 receptions. That's third in the NFL across all positions, not just running backs. It's first, obviously, among running backs. So they have a lot of design plays to get their backs the ball. Eckler, too. I mean, he touched the ball 4 of the last 7 plays against Miami in Week 4 to end the first half. So I think that's the real matchup to watch is Vince Williams and Devin Bush versus guys like Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler.
And look, as I said in that show the other day, Vince Williams had a great first game back. Probably one of his better games, right?
Yeah, it was. I don't know exactly how to rank it, but it was an excellent performance.
I mean, he was spilling runs to the outside, blowing up pulls. I think him and you can see kind of. I don't know if it was Bush that alerted Williams on one of those pulls, or maybe he saw the lineman leaning, or what there. But I think Bush is obviously getting a lot more comfortable in that defense at this point as well too. I just wish he'd stay on side, as does Cameron Hayward.
I saw.
He got a nice little scolding from Cameron Hayward, didn't he? On that. But look, I mean, you need that kind of stuff there with a young player, and having Vince back, and nobody plays downhill better than Vince Williams. So especially when you have a fullback back in this game, I expect to see Watt out there for how many snaps has Watt been playing? Do you know, about 12, 14 a game, or has it been a little bit more than that?
I don't know if he has a lot of snaps for the season, but it feels like the last 2 weeks I've seen him out there a lot. I can get you a snap count for the season, or the last 2 weeks I can give you.
It didn't feel like I saw him a bunch when going through that tape, but
I mean, it's still a fullback, so he's not going to obviously be playing full snaps. But let me get you what he did last week against Denver. He had 8 snaps against Denver. Right. Let me get you Week 4 versus Miami. He had 19. They had a lead in the second half, and that one that might lend itself to playing more two-back stuff. But yeah, I expect 10 snaps probably on Derek Watt.
Right, and they'll try to run. They'll try to run to the edges. And look, man, they got a good. Eckler's a fine back. At least they won't have that other back that killed the Steelers late the last time.
Justin Jackson.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to play in this one.
With their run game, they do a lot of counters. You'll be able to read your keys. You can't, flow too hard to one side because they'll try to counter to help those linemen seal and be able to wash you guys down as they bend it back. So I think being able to hit your run fits and be able to anticipate counters is going to be a big key in the run game.
I think overall it just scares you because they have the talent, but I don't really view them as this offense having hit their stride yet. Now, obviously, turnovers don't help.
Right. Yeah, I think they probably left some points on the board. Again, obviously the red zone goal to go turnovers is certainly one big factor. The number that stuck out to me, the last thing I mentioned with their offense, is how well they are at sustaining drives. They're number 1 in average plays per drive, I think average yards per drive, time of possession. I think they're 4th in yards. Obviously, the Steelers are basically the opposite in all those categories. So that's because they have a good third down offense. They're, I think, top 10, around 46% in third down efficiency. But they're able to keep drives alive, wear you down, and try to win in the second half. So I think that's something the Steelers have to be able to get this offense off the field, put them in those uncomfortable situations, win on third down. That's obvious stuff you can apply to any single team every single week. But Chargers do a great job with sustaining drives, and Steelers have to be able to get them off the field. Yeah,
you're going to have to get a turnover or two in this game, too. I just have a feeling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's a mandate basically for having a rookie quarterback, or even if it's Rudolph. I mean, still, you got to get a big play.
Maybe you get a bad exchange or something, because I think they had one of those, didn't they?
Yeah.
In the game against Denver after the
with the new center. Yeah.
I think it was with the new center when he moved over there. So little things like that, and
how about batting the ball? Because Rivers has that funky arm angle that kind of comes low sometimes. I think, Tuitt, Hayward, someone getting their hands up, tipping a pass. I think that's Tuitt tipped one last week. Unfortunately, was still caught by Snead for a big play. But I think they can tip a pass and get a pick that way.
And Phil's not afraid to force the ball sometimes down the field either.
Right. He has a gunslinger mentality.
So maybe you can get one on the back end that way, but they're going to have to get at least 1, maybe 2 turnovers in this game. But I mean, look, it's Phillip Rivers and Keenan Allen. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, Mike Williams worries me too. I think
in the red zone he does definitely. They will try to rub you off a little bit and run a fade or something with him.
I play tight. I play a lot of bump and run. Maybe some too high looks. Trust your run defense to get the job done. Let force Rivers to hold on to the football quickly so he can't get the ball out quick, force that line to protect, and let your pass rush do its thing. So that's kind of my general style I play offensively.
All right, what do we got on the defense?
I got Joey Bosa, their best player. That defense is actually playing well, even with all the injuries they've had. No Derwin James, no Adrian Phillips. I mean, they're top 10 in points per game. They're just outside the top 10 in yards allowed per game. But yeah, Joey Bosa is going to be the big guy who's going to move around. He's going to flip sides. You'll see Villanueva. He'll see Matt Fowler. That's the number one guy you got to try to eliminate.
The thing that stuck out to me with them is it takes their defense a little while to get settled in, I think, especially last week against Denver. Man, they gave up 150-something total net yards right out of shoot, a couple of big plays before they started settling down there. When it comes to that unit, they did give up a big play later in the game to Sutton on that TD, but that was a blown coverage too, and a bad tackle attempt. Attempt along that sideline as well too. Boy, they talked about go back and I don't know if you got a chance, but the Gus Bradley press conference from yesterday, Alex, he's talking about they have different tackling styles that they like to use on different players.
That's interesting.
Yeah, go back and listen to that. Like 5 different. Just trust me. Anybody listen to this, if you get a chance, go to the Chargers official website and listen to the guy. It's about 12 minutes long, but it's really informative. I thought this time around there. They obviously know that they got their hands full with Juju in this one, and like I said earlier, they're preparing for both quarterbacks to start. They think that They know that they have had holes in their run game at run defense at spots during this season here, and that's one thing he wants them to kind of shore up early here. I think you got to test him, man. And how do you pronounce his name? Uchenna
and Nwosu.
Nwosu. I think I might have said it better than you, but he's a guy I want to run at early, even though he has not looked. I don't know what you saw on film with him. I thought he's played pretty damn good so far there. I think he does a pretty good job at setting the edge as well too. But I want to run at him and Brandon Mebane early here, and I want to make their linebackers. It's a shame that they can't get Nix back this week. Because it'd be great to now. Look, Thomas Davis is playing through a little bit of an injury here, and I think the other thing that we can expect in this game is they're going to rotate their second level linebackers in this game quite a bit. You're going to have Perryman, Davis, and who's the other one? Jatavis. They've been, or is it Kaiser? They've been rotating.
I know Kaiser's White's played a lot. I can't remember exactly who was where. Josh, go ahead.
But they're going to rotate those guys throughout the game here. And Thomas Davis is dealing with something right now as well too. So I want to put some bodies on them second level linebackers.
Yeah, Davis, their leading tackler, 41. He's one of Mike Tomlin's favorite players. I'm sure they're going to chat before the game. But, yeah, I would get downhill. I think you run some duos, some double teams, be able to really generate movement off the line of scrimmage. I think that Denver and even Miami did that well enough, getting some double teams up front, getting some push. That defensive line does not scare me. There's some decent talent there. I mean, I like Jerry Tillery, but he's still a rookie. He's got a ways to go. But is Tillery a rookie or is he a second-year guy?
Any second year?
I think he's second year. Yeah, I think I'm getting my years mixed up. Either way, he's a young guy, hasn't played a lot of ball. Isaac Rochelle, Mebane, guys like that, they don't scare me a whole lot. So I think you can definitely run, get downhill, double team, be able to get movement.
No, Tillery's a rookie.
Is he? All right.
Yeah. Well, it's Nwosu who's the second-year guy.
Okay, maybe that's what I was getting mixed. I talked to him at the Senior Bowl. And,
you did?
Real good guy. Yeah, Nwosu. Good guy, well-coached. So I'm excited for him doing well. I just hopefully doesn't play too well this week. But, they definitely be able to run the ball on them. I mean, Denver put up a $191 on them. I don't expect the Steelers to do quite that. But I think that they're a bad tackling team. They don't really hold the line too well. You got to be able to get a ground game going, especially if Hodges is starting.
I don't want to get in any third and longs with Joey Bosa up against Matt Filer.
Yeah. For sure.
I mean,
Hodges
look,
better keep that tight end in again.
yeah, absolutely here, and that's your biggest. It's one of your biggest concerns, I think. I mean, look, it's a concern every week. You got to stay in manageable third down situations, but as we've seen so far with this team, man, third downs and conversions are not
Oh,
synonymous. Phenomena. Beep 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 beep. Phenomena. Beep
that
beep
was
beep
good
beep.
save.
But you don't want to get in third and long with. Do you even know where that Phenomena song comes from?
I just know the Palamalu.
Okay, you
That's
know the
my thing.
Palamanu version, okay?
Yeah, I know the Steelers, but I don't know the actual origin
Well,
story.
it goes way back to the Muppets and all like that. You can Google that one on the YouTube machine when you get a chance there. But where was I? Oh yeah, you just don't want to get in third and long. I mean, you don't want Bosa and you don't want Nwasu getting after your quarterback here because they've done good and Nwasu's learning more and more. If there's one thing about him, I think, is that he and I think stuck out about him at USC is he tries to win with raw power. I think. Not much of never had a good kind of plan or a lot of counters coming out. So if you can tie him up early there, great. But you definitely just don't want to get in a situation where you let him pin his ears back, and definitely not with Joey Bosa. And we expect those two. And Eric, we asked Eric this as well too, and the tape kind of shows it. They're going to flip sides. So I think you're going to see a lot of Joey Bosa on Matt Filer in this game.
Yep, in coverage, I think they play a lot of 3 deep, mix up zone and man pretty well. If they start going more quarters when you start going empty and then some third down situations. But they can maybe attack the seams a little bit, but guys just have to win their matchups. I don't know if there's a huge coverage weakness that they show. They do blitz a little bit. Des King is a guy that comes off the edge. Now he's got 2.5 sacks this season. They all came against the Dolphins, but they do run some nickel and safety pressure in trips, 3-by-1 with the tight end to the close side. So avoid that. You probably will be able to prevent them from blitzing. But just knowing the protections and setting things and watching out for Des King in general scares me because he's a playmaker in coverage. He can blitz. He's a punt return threat. He's got a punt return touchdown this year. Had a punt return touchdown against the Steelers for 73 yards last year. Really turned the tide in that game. So there's one guy that really two guys that really keep me up at night. It's like Mike Williams and Des King as those guys that are going to be sitting here Monday going, man, Des King just really took it to the Steelers, or man, Mike Williams really just dominated Pittsburgh.
And look, Casey Hayward's no slouch. He's top 10. He's top 10 corner in the league, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's probably going to follow Juju around. Now, this is a second. Can you tell me where all these other guys went to college at? Where did Michael Davis go to college at?
LSU? No, I don't know where he went.
Brigham Young.
BYU. All right, I got a 3-letter acronym.
I know you know where Rayshawn Jenkins went to school.
Yeah, the U.
Yeah, he went to Miami.
The secondary doesn't have a lot of big names, but I mean, they got some talent.
Roderick Teamer.
Oh, I just saw that he's a rookie, like San Jose State.
No, Tulane.
He's no one knows who he is.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, I think outside. I mean, everybody knows Desmond King.
Mm-hmm.
I think just because
where'd he go to school?
Iowa, wasn't it?
All right, yeah, Iowa. Trying to catch him.
You try to.
I can't. Student hasn't surpassed the master yet.
If you can take the pebble from my hand. Do you even know where that came from?
Little Mr. Miyagi, right?
No. Kung Fu.
All right. I'm in the genre. Wax on, wax off. I can get you there.
I guess what I'm getting, and look, I think you probably saw this too. Maybe they will bust in that secondary.
In terms of coverage bust?
Yeah, they've had I think their share of kind of coverage bust.
I think if you flood zone coverage, the Dolphins ran this little dig wheel combination that got him over the top. Yeah, I think if you flood zones, run some of these double moves, which those are capable of doing, I think that's a good way to try to exploit them when they do run zone coverage. So yeah, and they're not a great tackling team either. So I think if you get some one-on-one battles, Deontay Johnson, Juju, some guys that can make some plays in space, Vance too as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. They definitely missed some tackles there in that game against Denver there last week there. So one other thing that kind of stuck out with me, but listen to the Gus Bradley press conference. He says Once I send these, they seem to attack better. They have problems coming out of the locker room, both early and at halftime. They've had problems with their defense over the years too, and he admitted it. Sometimes I need to just dial up some pressures, maybe to get them going a little bit better. So with that, don't be surprised if he comes out firing. Especially if the Steelers have, look, either one of these quarterbacks that they started are going to be young, inexperienced there. So don't be surprised if maybe we see some guys coming off the edge or something here with Gus Bradley right out of the chute.
I know it's a minor point, but have either of these guys, Rudolph or Hodges, ever started a West Coast game before? Just kind of getting used to that?
You mean
playing West Coast?
From the college aspect?
Yeah. Obviously, neither have done it in the end. Well, was that in San Francisco for Rudolph?
That was in San Francisco.
That was in San Francisco. Okay, so right. Rudolph has. Hodges, I don't think ever has.
Him playing at Sanford, how many times did they get out west?
That's what I'm saying, is I don't think they really ever did.
Oh, Lord, we're going to have to pull up the Sanford schedule now.
Good luck with that. Anyway, it's a very minor point, but yeah, okay, so I was forgetting about the Rudolph had started against the 49ers in San Francisco, but it's just new, and so I think you're right. This Chargers defense, they don't blitz a lot, but the pressure hasn't been the most consistent, and without Melvin Ingram this week, at least we expect Ingram to not play. Obviously, still have Joey Bosa. I think you could see Bradley dial up a couple more pressures.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at some of these places. I don't even know where some of these colleges are.
I'd be surprised if he ever had a West Coast game. Obviously, conference isn't going to take you there. I don't know what out-of-conference game would have you past even the Mississippi.
How far west is Western Carolina?
That's a good one. I'll give you that one.
Yeah,
that's as far west as you play.
Is that different time zone? Mississippi State, Mercer, I'm willing to bet California going to be or West Coast going to be kind of new to him there.
But hey, everything's been new to Hodges, I guess, and he's been, killing it. So
it don't look like a lot phases him, and like we said, a couple of days ago there, man, this is your one shot, man. I'm gonna go out swinging,
Yeah.
He's had some, like you mentioned that Florida State tape. Even though there's some interceptions in there, there's some nice tape in there on him. And who was the other team? Was it Mississippi?
Mississippi State.
Yeah, Mississippi State in I think it was 2016.
How did he do in that game?
468 passing yards. I remember that.
Was it a close game, or you think it was a lot of garbage time stuff?
56-41.
All right. They hook around, yeah. this dude's a gamer. He's been in, big situations. I think you just said it well. Nothing bothers him. Nothing seems to really rattle Devlin Hodges.
And he's not afraid. He's not afraid to take chances down the field there. If there's one thing that a lot of people were hauling for with Rudolph out of the chute was, man, is he going to throw it past the line of scrimmage there? So, I don't want to come out of this game wondering what if Hodges would have done X, kind of thing here. But look, they're the underdog for a reason here. But it's a decent defense, and Gus Bradley's a good defensive coordinator as well too. So there's going to be some adjustments going on with them for sure once they kind of figure out what the Steelers maybe want to do coming out of shoot. But if I'm the Steelers, I definitely want to try to run at them early. And obviously if you get any kind of lead on them in the fourth quarter there, hopefully your run game can pick you up and kill some time there.
Yeah, maybe some Benny Snell football this week. Get downhill, get physical with those linebackers.
We gonna see any Wildcat with Benny?
Randy Fichtner has his way. He seems to be loving it. Yeah, maybe as a way to hide Hodges a bit. You could see it for 3 or 4 snaps. Might not be my favorite thing, but yeah, possible.
Benny definitely did it at Kentucky there. So, would you? Here's something else I want to run by you.
Okay.
How much? And you could probably answer this because you saw him in training camp there with Trey Edmonds. Can you use him? How effective could he be for you as a fullback in this game?
Not very. He did it. He got a couple snaps because they didn't have another fullback in there. They didn't want to have Rosie out there for every single rep, but not a good blocker. Not doing much for you.
Okay, so there's not much there then. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, maybe they could use it for a snap or two. I just don't. I question the effectiveness. Maybe you play action out of it or something, hit him in the flat. But I wouldn't do lead blocking with Trey Edmonds.
Okay. Well, once again, it's too bad they couldn't get Rosie back for this game.
And again, with the kick return game, no Rosie likely, no Washington likely. There's a big spot there in one of those up back positions that because Washington was replacing Nix in that role, and now you're down him, and then Snell was the other guy in that role, which you probably still have him out there, but now he's your backup running back. So I just hope every kick goes in the end zone because I don't expect the kick return game to get a whole lot better this week.
All right, that's both sides of the football, and there's your special team update.
All right, Dave. Before we get to our picks and pick the Steelers game as well, let's talk about our friends over at MyBookie.
Okay, I can do that. Do you ever find yourself wishing that you can make some extra cash with your NFL knowledge? At MyBookie, they want to make your dream come true this season. Right now, all players are invited to play in the free $50,000 Survivor contest. Winner takes all contest starts October 8th and closes October 14th. Before the start of Monday Night Football, so it's not too late to get involved with that. Pick one team each week, survive the longest, and you can take home $50,000 in cash. Make a successful deposit with MyBookie, and you'll receive a free entry into the contest today. Between football season, the Major League Baseball playoffs, and the start of the NBA and NHL seasons, it's time to get off the sideline and get into the action. If you're the kind of guy or girl who likes to bet a little and win a lot, try a parlay. For instance, if you'd like a couple of the big favorites this week, parlays are perfect because they let you bet multiple games together for a much bigger payout. So if you're going to bet this season, do the smart thing and go to mybookie.ag because no one gives you more ways to win. If you really want to support the team this season, don't just sit on the sideline. Get in the game with MyBookie. And if you join right now, MyBookie will double your first deposit. Use promo code TERRIBLE to activate the offer. That's promo code TERRIBLE to double your cash. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. Get in there and get involved in that $50,000 Survivor contest today.
Absolutely, Dave. All right, let's go with our picks. We are both 1-0 for the week so far, thanks to New England's late touchdown. The close game with the Giants, though, that was closer than I thought it'd be for a long stretch of that thing. But you continue to be perfect on Thursday night.
I'm 7-0. I'm giving people free money to they can get themselves some free money at mybookie.ag just by following my Thursday bets alone. No, I'm really blessed, on fire so far, and there was a period of time there last night where I didn't think the Patriots were going to cover cover that one there. But man, that defense of theirs is good, isn't it?
It's so good. I know they haven't played a lot of great offenses, but they are a lockdown defense.
Man, they are. I mean, you need is Tom Brady to be average Tom when you got a defense like that. I know they're going to play a little bit tougher competition, but man, I'm starting to wonder if there's going to be anybody out there that can beat them. Maybe Kansas City. I don't know. But we saw the Colts have a good game plan against them, this past week as well too. All right, let's get into this thing. Carolina Panthers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers at home plus 2.5.
Ooh, this is a tough one. Carolina still has Kyle Allen, and McCaffrey's just been one of the best players in football. I give Tampa Bay credit for being better than what I thought. They got Shaq Barrett, who's got 9 sacks this year. Winston's had some good games, but I'm going to go Carolina in this one. I think Kyle Allen's done a great job. I think with McCaffrey, there's just a better identity overall. Close game. Panthers win by a field goal.
Is our buddy? Is the Steelers? Is Gerald Hawkins going to have to start in this one?
David was telling me something about that he might have to play. I didn't look a whole lot into it, but yeah, he might be making his Buccaneers debut.
Give me the Carolina Panthers on the road, lay the 2.5 in this one. Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. Do you believe in miracles, Alex? Ravens laying 11.5 at home against the winless Bengals.
That is a pretty big line. I think Baltimore's going to win this game, but their defense does have some issues. The Bengals gave some good games last year. I say Ravens win, Bengals cover.
Yeah, I'll go with you. I don't think the Bengals will win this, but I think they can keep this close enough, maybe. Give me the Bengals on the road plus 11.5. That's 2 road teams so far. Seattle Seahawks at the Cleveland Browns. The Browns at home plus 2.5.
Wow, such a weird team to try to figure out. They've had great weeks against Baltimore. They laid the egg against the 49ers last week. I'm going to go Seattle in this one, just because Cleveland just, again, it was the issue I had with the Browns was that the talent was there, but how do they handle adversity? And now we're getting a real good look to see whether they're going to be fight or flight.
Yeah, definitely this week, and a tough Seattle team. How did Russell Wilson look the other night, man?
Unbelievable.
Unreal. I mean, you don't feel so bad kind of after the fact losing. I mean, look at the. I know it doesn't help, but look at the teams the Steelers have lost to this season.
Yeah, what's their combined record? Like, I don't even know. It's really good, the combined record of the teams they've lost to.
It's yes is what it is. But I'm with you, Alex. Give me another road team. One of these road teams is not going to come through here out of these first 3 here. Hopefully Seattle gets it done laying 2.5. I'm with you. Lay the 2.5 on the road there. Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. This should be a good game to watch. Kansas City at home laying 4.5.
I'm going to go a little upset alert here with the Houston Texans beating the Chiefs just because Mahomes got that ankle injury. I know they might be getting Tyreek Hill back, but I don't know. Houston, their O-line did a fantastic job last week, probably the best they've ever protected Deshaun Watson. I'm going to take Houston in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs at home to rebound from that loss against the Colts here. So I'm gonna lay the 4.5 there. We got a pick'em game up next. New Orleans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Right now, it's pick'em.
These are my kind of games where I don't have to worry about lines. I can just pick the team. Yeah, I mean, I know the Saints offense is taking a step back without Teddy, but I know Jacksonville, that defense hasn't played as well. I think Minshew showed up on the injury report too. I wonder if that line's going to move anymore with his status. I'm going to go with the Saints in this one. I think more offensive firepower, a better offensive line, and probably at least as good a defense, maybe even a better defense in Jacksonville at this point, especially if the Jags are going to continue to be without Jalen Ramsey, who's still up in the air for like the 4th week in a row.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Ramsey does play in this one. I expect Michael Thomas to have a big game if Ramsey doesn't. Give me the Saints on the road beating the Jaguars. Philadelphia Eagles on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are favored by 3 points in this game.
I got to pick a home team at some point here, I guess. I might as well do it now, even though I don't love Kirk Cousins. I don't think anybody loves Kirk Cousins, but give me a home team here. I think I'll take Minnesota.
Give me the Eagles and the money line in this one. Give me the Eagles to beat Minnesota straight up. So I want that. I want the 3 points there. Washington on Washington on the road against the Miami Dolphins. Will anybody even watch this game? Miami plus 3.5 at home.
Man, who's starting for Washington this week? Is it Keenum again? Or is it McCoy? It's not Haskins. I don't do starting. I'm going to go Washington just because sometimes you get that little shot in the arm with a new head coach or interim head coach after Jay Gruden fired Bill Callahan being the head coach there for the rest of the season. Again, another road team, but I don't love either of these games or either of these teams, but I'll go Washington just because they have the energy of a new coach in there.
Yeah, let me have Washington on the road later 3.5 as well too. This should be a good game. San Francisco 49ers on the road against the Los Angeles Rams. Rams at home laying 3. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I really like the 49ers. I picked them as a wild card team this year, and they're making me look smart right now. Man, I gotta go with some home teams though, and maybe I'm thinking about this all wrong, but I'll go with the Rams just because I know I gotta pick some sort of home teams in these picks.
Give me another road team here. I like what that San Francisco offense is doing here. So give me San Francisco plus 3. Atlanta,
you know what? I'm changing my mind. I'm gonna go with you and the 49ers. You convinced me.
All right, Atlanta. That I didn't do a lot of analysis on that one. Here, you want to try some drugs, Alex?
You convinced me.
Good thing you didn't run with the wrong crowd in high school. What kind of crowd did you run with?
The nerd crowd.
Oh, really? What was high school like for you?
I don't know. It was pretty boring. I didn't do a whole lot. Just random circle of friends. I was just kind of that. I guess it was the nerdy group. I think everyone who says, "Oh, I wasn't in a group," was probably in a nerdy type group. I was not the popular kid. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have.
Sure, that's a shock.
I wouldn't have predicted that anyway. You waved goodbye to the McLumina yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, my heart is sad.
Should we have a moment of silence here?
I'd appreciate that.
Let's give a moment of silence for the McLumina. Okay.
Engine backfiring.
Did you get any good pictures to end with, or what?
Yeah, I took a couple with my new car and the McLumina, but she's going to a good home. I wanted to, give her to someone that really needed the car. It's a single mom that has a couple kids, bought a lemon, so I think this will really do her well to get her through the next couple months.
All right, on with the picks. Atlanta Falcons on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals +2 at home.
Oh, man. Well, you get me all misty-eyed over here, then I got to go back and pick them, Dave. Yeah, Arizona's just, I don't know, man. I mean, they've been a little bit better. I know Murray's using his legs a little bit. Atlanta's such a disappointing team, though. Give me Arizona. I'm not sure why, but I'm going to go with the home team this time.
I'm loading up on the road teams this week, man. Give me Atlanta on the road. -2. Dallas on the road against the New York Jets. Sam Darnold will be back this week. How much will that help them? Jets +7.5 at home.
No, give me Dallas. I think I know they've struggled a little bit more in recent weeks, and they're going to figure it out to kind of take advantage of the Jets here. Give me Dallas by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, give me another road team here. In fact, make this Dave's stone cold lock of the century of the week. Dallas -7.5 on the road against the Jets. The Titans on the road against the Denver Broncos. I would have thought this line would have been the other way here, but Denver at home favored by 2.
Yeah, give me Denver, just because they played well against the Chargers last week. That defense finally stepped up, made some plays. Tennessee's still been a mess. That defense is decent. The offense is still trying to find itself. I do like A.J. Brown. Corey Davis has been pretty non-existent. Not a great game. Could be a slop fest, come down to a field goal, but give me Denver.
Give me Tennessee straight up on this one. Another road team. I'll take those 2 points on the road at Denver there. The Monday night game is the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. That Packers defense, if that offense, the Packers can catch up, and it's amazing that we're saying that when Aaron Rodgers is involved here. But if that Packer offense can catch up with the defense, they can make a run here. But in the meantime, Green Bay at home at Lambeau on a Monday night, favored by 4.
Yeah, I'm going to go Green Bay in this one. It's funny, we're talking about because in the past it's always been, can the Packers defense catch up to the offense? And now it's the inverse. It's a very Pittsburgh-ish situation. I know Detroit's played better, but Monday night on the road, I just don't trust the Lions. So give me Green Bay.
Yeah, give me Green Bay at home. This will be a home team that probably won't cover for me here. But give me Green Bay at home. Lay the 4 points there. And that, of course, now brings us to the Steelers at the Chargers Sunday night. This one's been kind of hovering around 6.5. Right now, the Chargers are favored by 6.5 at home.
I just got a feeling about this one, Dave, and I know everything in my brain saying the Chargers are going to win this one just because that's how the season's gone, but neither team has done well in close games, and if Duck Hodges starts, I think there's a little magic there. I think that obviously the Steelers defense has played well. I think they can get vertical on this Chargers attack. I think they can run the ball better than they have against most teams this year. So I just think the defense keeps making big plays. Special teams can step up and do their thing for the Steelers. I got Pittsburgh in this one, 23-20.
I mean, you got caught up in the Duck
a little bit
in the Duck Hodges magic, huh? Well, I don't want to be the only one to pick against them here. Look, it is an exciting week. The Steelers defense is playing well. The Chargers have turned the football over. But there's so many things that go against the Steelers here, man. The West Coast thing, the quarterback thing. I mean, there's just so many things going against them. So, look, I mean, I have to judge these things at face value here, and I want to get caught up in the whole Devlin Hodges thing. I think the Steelers cover this, but just barely here. I'm going to have this one go down 23-17 Chargers.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not wrong about that. I mean, I totally understand why anyone would pick against the Steelers given all the circumstances, but man, I just think they're an angry team right now, and they know how much is on the line. I know that only means so much, doesn't guarantee a win, but I don't know. I just even if Rudolph were to start, I think the Steelers can pull this thing out.
All right, boy, you look at history alone here at rookie quarterbacks making their first starts, right? I mean, let me see here. First start here. Let me check a couple of these boxes here when it comes to quarterback.
I'll say Steelers in primetime football. They usually elevate their game. They can step up even in a West Coast game.
Single game. Trying to find out the.
Because while you do that, I mean, Tomlin pointed out last time they were in L.A., they had Mike Vick at quarterback. I don't think anyone would have picked the Steelers to win that game, and they found a way to win. So I think history repeats itself.
Let's see. Daniel Jones won his first start this year, right, against Tampa Bay. Kyle Allen, you have to go back to, let's see, last year you had Kyle Allen, Nick Mullins, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold, I think, all won their first career starts. Before that, you have to go back to Matt Barkley in 2016. Before that, Tyrod Taylor in 2015. Him and Marcus Mariota. Ryan Mallett, 2014. Wow. I mean, there's not a lot. You know, first. Oh no, wait. Those not all those are wins. Let me find out which ones are wins here for you as well. To game result 1. I thought that list sounded kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a lot of names on there. Yeah, and obviously those are talking first round picks versus a rookie UDFA tryout guy. But again, Hodges has played above his level.
All right, if I have this thing sorted right, Daniel Jones, Kyle Allen, Nick Mullins, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz. Did Carson Wentz really win? Yeah, I guess he did. Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Osweiler, Marcus Mariota, Ryan Mallett, Matt McGloin. Now, not all these guys were rookies at the time, I don't think. You know, some of them might have been weren't true rookies. They were in their first year, but anyway, the list is few and far between, and especially when it comes to undrafted rookie. Just because of the sheer fact that you don't have many, undrafted true rookies that start a ball game during this season for obvious reasons, because a lot of times those guys are either not on rosters or they're the number 3 guy and don't even dress for games. So it's kind of a weird situation here all the way around. But can you imagine what happens if he does come in? Hodges comes in and does win. I mean, you want to talk about Duck Mania, man.
Yeah, well, let's root for it to happen. That's a good problem to have. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just been impressive. I don't think the moment's going to be too big for him. Should he start? Again, we don't know who the starting quarterback is as of this recording, but I think that defense is still the strength of this team and has played well and can really get a lot of pressure on Philip Rivers. They should have similar success as they did against the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, shall we get to some emails here?
Yep, let's do it.
Doug Walter writes in, quack, quack. Dave and Alex, happy Friday. What is the over and under for how many times the NBC broadcast team says the word duck on Sunday? I'm setting the line at 14.5. Wow, that's kind of a high number, right, to use just the word duck. I'll take the under of 14.5. I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and tally these things up, Doug. So if you want us to pick them, you got to get back to us how many times they say it.
Yeah, I'll say a little under 2. I think it's a little less of a story in the national media than it is. I think Al Michaels will mention it once early on about him being a duck caller. I'll say maybe 6 or 7 times I say it.
Doug goes on to write, but in all seriousness, I'm excited to see what the kid can do with a full week of preparation. It was really interesting to hear that he hit all the Bill Parcells quarterback requirements. I agree, Doug. That kind of caught me off guard there as well, too, and I was glad to hear it. He seems to have the effort mentality and arm talent to be successful in the league. Sunday night in L.A. would be a great place for your movie script to take a turn, Dave. Hey, amen. Look, I mean, I know I picked against him here, but it will be a great story if they can get past the Chargers. Look, so many things. Like I said, you can't win on out there on the West Coast there, Pacific time zone. So many things are against Hodges and the Steelers in this game. Going against a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, all that. So it would be a great place for the movie script to take a turn. Also, I think I'm only a year or 2 older than Alex, but I got A Few Good Men reference a few weeks ago. Keep up the good work on the site and on the podcast. Thanks as always, Doug. Thanks, Doug. Great email there. Let's see. This is an email with some concussion info with a video. Let's see. Justin Larson writes in, is it me or does the officiating seem to be getting worse every year? And I'm not talking about just calls against us. Is there a process to find or get rid of bad referees? Also, why even bother replaying pass interference calls if they aren't going to correct it? Seeing this over and over again, watching the Patriots-Giants game and the New York challenge and New York challenges a PI late in the fourth quarter that the defender clearly got there early, but even the commentator said they will go with the call on the field, and of course they didn't call a shot to the knees on the same play on Daniel Jones. Love the podcast and thanks for your work you guys put in. Justin, I know it gets you. We had a little bit of a rant on that on that previous podcast as well too, and they're talking about possibly having more stuff to review. I don't know what the correct answer is here, and yeah, I agree. It's not just the Steelers. However, what do you think about Deontay Johnson having to drag down Tony Jefferson down the field?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when you posted it that wasn't called.
But if the ball is still in the air, that's still a flag, right?
I mean, I'm not a rules expert, but yeah.
If the ball, obviously if the ball has been caught by then, you could still probably call holding, but it's a little bit tricky on that play. But I was going back through looking at some routes and all like that, and there goes Deontay Johnson having to drag Tony Jefferson down the field.
If you're asking about the question about refs being fired, there actually was a ref fired in the middle of last year. Hugo Cruz, who was the ref that missed the false start on the Russell Okung play in the Chargers game last year, missed a couple calls later on in the year. So it's very rare for the league to do that, but they have done that before. They did it last year, and yeah, I mean the referees. I mean, it's a tough job. I think they also get 95% of the things right, but as these rule books become more complicated and there's more confusion and just more chaos, it makes their job a lot more difficult, and you get a worse product.
Nathan writes in, hi, Dave and Alex, love the podcast with the Steelers defense spending a whopping 39 minutes on the field last Sunday. Do you worry about any ill effects to bleed over into this Sunday's game? I'm hoping we don't have a tired, worn-out defense come Sunday night. Look, I mean, in any game where they're on the field, 60-plus snaps, you have to start worrying about it, I think, once that does happen. So you got to get off. You got to start getting off. Will there be a cumulative type effect here? Well, look, you haven't had Vince play in a couple weeks. He's back, kind of thing. They've been doing a fairly good job of rotating some of these guys out. It looks like you might have Chicolo back this week as well, too, here. But, look, just don't get in a position where you're playing more than 60 snaps a game.
Yeah, really, even once 60 to 70 is pretty common, but once you start getting above 70, it becomes a little much. I'm not particularly worried about that thing for this week. I think overall, over the course of the season, is a factor. The Steelers were second worst in time of possession offensively, so the second highest in terms of defensive being on the field. But I'm not particularly worried about that one thing. I'd be more worried about the in-game stuff of if the Chargers have long drives, if they're able to control the clock, and that stuff can have an in-game effect. I don't know if it's going to be a factor leading up to this game.
Bryce is back, got some questions for us. What a wild week this has been. A couple thoughts, questions for Jens. Is it put up, shut up time for Dante Moncrief? If he can't get on the field this week or gets on the field and plays poorly, then the Steelers should move on from him during the bye week, secure that third-round compensatory pick. Yeah, I mean, look, how long is Washington going to be out here? I mean, they're saying it's going to be a couple weeks, but the good thing is you do have the bye week after this week. So, is there a chance that this is the only game that Washington misses? I think there's a chance in that. But regardless, I think we're all expecting Dante Moncrief and Switzer to have to dress this week. So you would think that this, here comes the boomerang, Alex. Evidently he caught a pass from Duck Hodges, so maybe Duck can fix everything around here.
Right.
Maybe he can fix Dante Moncrief's hands.
Yeah, well, hopefully him getting some rest too. We'll hope that finger that he dislocated in camp heal up. Yeah, I wouldn't expect Moncrief to be cut during the bye week because it's the bye week. But you're gonna have to start thinking about those decisions and then think about if this team loses again, you got a bye week to think about trading Javon Hargrave. Unfortunately, that's a discussion we'll have to circle back to, especially if this team loses Sunday night because the trade deadline's 2 weeks away. You got a bye week, start making some calls, putting out some feelers, maybe start that process. So yeah, it's a big week for a lot of guys here.
Look, if you lose on Sunday night and the Ravens and the Browns both win this week, I mean, how many games would you then be because you're already behind them in the head-to-head battle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you're not winning the North if that scenario plays out.
I mean, so
you're 1-5. I mean, you're not.
Yeah, I mean, do you cut Dante Moncrief before you play the next game? Possibly.
Yeah.
If you lose this and both the Browns and the Ravens win, man, you don't want to talk about it, in a hole there. So we'll see. But hopefully Dante can impact this week's game. Of course, anyone can be traded at any time. Well, not necessarily, Bryce. I mean, you have a trade deadline. So would I trade Tomlin? Sure. Just give me 4 first-round picks, 2/3, a young wide receiver, and a young edge, and you've got your trade with the Redskins because that's the only way I'm trading a top 5 coach like Coach T. Look, I don't think they're going to trade him, but that's just me. Number 3, now that it's his 3rd week with the team, I expect a heavy dose of McDonald and Vanette and 12 personnel this week. I do think you'll see quite a bit of 12 personnel this week with those 2 tight ends. Get those tight ends active and on the move, lots of motion and shifts, and try to throw the defense off. Steelers need to throw the kitchen sink at the Chargers to try to win on the West Coast.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have no problem with that.
Let's see, Jim Bendis. No, that's just a link to a report here. Alex Matsaba writes in, almost sounds like matzo ball. Hey, Dave and Alex, thanks for continuing to make the Terrible Podcast a must listen to every week. Despite the Steelers' record, I, for one, am more than willing to listen to your podcast, whether it runs 1 or 3 hours in duration. Keep up the great work, you guys. Suggestion, if Hodges gets the nod at quarterback this Sunday, I think it would be great to hear a chorus of duck calls via duck whistles during the game against the Chargers. Alex from Bakersfield, California. Alex, isn't Bakersfield up there near Lake Tahoe and all? That's a pretty part of the country up there where you're at. We went up there towards Reno and all here right before the start of training camp, and I really enjoyed that neck of the woods up there. Didn't get to Bakersfield, but I think next time we run up that way, we might slide over into Bakersfield there. Alex, thoughts?
The duck call, yeah, that'd be pretty funny. I don't know if that's gonna be coordinated enough in time, but hey, there'll be a lot of Duck Hodges fans. I wonder if you see any Hodges jerseys in the stands.
You will if he wins this week.
For sure.
The problem with that stadium, man, it's so small.
33,000 capacity.
And I know there's just a lot of Steeler fans who probably want to go to that game, but it might be hard for a lot of them to get tickets to it, This one from Chris Warren. Hey, guys, thank you for all you do. Your show truly enhances the experience of being not just a fan, but a student of the game. I just finished reading Alex's piece on Devlin Hodges and how impressive his debut was considering his lack of practice time. I couldn't agree more. However, my biggest concern is how Hodges could regress if Fichtner tries to coach him up too much, and especially if they now try to fit him for training wheels going into Sunday night. We can run on the Chargers, stay away from gimmicks, establish the run, and let the kids sling it around a bit. Chris Warren.
I think that's well said, Chris, is that, you can't be too careful with Hodges. You want to be smart with him, obviously, and put him in situations that are going to let him succeed and win, but you can't handle him with kid gloves. You're 1-4, season's on the line. Hodges is a gunslinger. That's how he works best. That's from the day. The reason why you signed him was because he was a guy that would push the ball down the field, could had a good arm, could zip the ball into tight windows, wasn't afraid to take chances. If you reverse course on that now and go a total 180, then you're just doing a disservice to not only him but the entire team and your chances of winning. So you want to be smart, manageable, do stuff that he likes that works well with the offense, but you can't play scared. You will not win if you play scared.
Look, you can take the duck out of the pond, but you can't take the pond out of the duck.
Oh my goodness. We've been thinking about these all since last podcast.
Look, for me to form coherent thoughts like that, I had to work ahead a little bit here. Let's see here. What else do we have? That was the duck and run from Chris. That's Tony Amos. Hi, Dave, Alex, Matthew. Matthew, I presume you watched the show. We now receive this in UK. Brilliant, insightful stuff. Love the banter between Florio and Sims. Oh, he's talking about PFT. This week, they've been talking plenty about the audience over here. So much feedback. Sims has been asking for some new words to use on the show. Try as I might, I can't fathom how to get in touch. I have a couple of beauties. Perhaps you could somehow pass them along for me. Absolute Pony, he has is one of them. It's absolutely, Tony's from over, if you haven't figured it out yet, he's from over there on that other side of that big lake. It's highly amusing for us Brits listening to Sims dropping crap and pissed all over the place. These would be termed as expletives over here. Never heard before the 9 p.m. watershed. So pony is Cockney rhyming slang. My neck of the woods originally. Pony and trap equals crap. I don't know where that's come from. You're even a bubble, another classic bubble barf equals laugh. Boy, some of this British humor, man.
Yeah.
It just goes way over my head here. I can just imagine Sims blasting back at Florio with, "Come on, Mike, that's ridiculous. You're even a bubble." Then a few minutes, he'd take a great pleasure in saying, "Florio, once again, you're talking absolute pony." Yeah, you got us there, Tony. Sometimes even the simplest humor goes over my head there, but when it comes to overseas stuff, you got me there. And as far as I presume you watched the show, to be quite honest with you, Florio and Sims are at the bottom of the barrel for us over here. We don't watch them for analysis, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't watch them really at all. I saw an interview Sims did with Ben during camp. That was decent. That was about it. Yeah, I don't. There's a lot less bite in that British slang than I would thought. I like chuffed to bits is my favorite British slang phrase. That's all I got for you. Tony.
What is it?
Chuffed to bits kind of means you're amused by something.
Okay.
That makes me laugh.
Greetings to the best podcasting duo in the business. This was from Rob Jones. All right. The best duo in the business. Please take a deeper dive into the Minka trade, and if it can correlate into retaining Javon Hargrave for minimum once franchise tag season. Steelers get the 11th overall pick, 22 years old, one season under the belt, first round. Bonus, a majority of 4-year contract money paid by another team, potential future linchpin to grow with Bush, Watt, and Edmonds. Combine that with how much the Steelers offset, I won't say save, on a 2020 pick, bonus guarantee side, blah, blah, blah. It has to add up to $10 million plus delta over the 4-year contract. Plus, indulge me, oh gurus of Steeler Nation. Let us not feel good. Let's not only feel good about this trade, let's recognize that in the long run, it has potential to turn out to be Kevin Colbert's greatest trade. Additionally, the potential 4th-round fifth swap that comes with it can alleviate the possible loss of a 2020 third-round compensatory draft pick. Okay, Rob, right now, Alex and I are fine with the Minka trade, right? I mean, is that where we're at with this thing?
Yep.
I mean, you still, it was just hard to fathom it happening at the time because the Steelers don't deal away first-round picks. I think a lot of people are still waiting to judge this thing as to where exactly the Steelers pick in the first round.
Yeah, I said that from the get-go. And then to the first question, it's not going to help them really retain Javon Hargrave. It's not really going to be a factor.
No, you got to look at it individually about how much it's going to cost to keep Javon versus how. Look, I hope they figure out a way to do this thing as well too. But at this point, Rob, I think the first part of what you would have to do in retaining Javon Hargrave is to put the franchise tag number on him. And that number is going to be around $15 million. Okay? So that's the first thing that you would have to do, assuming you don't trade him beforehand. Okay. And then once you give a guy a franchise tag at $15 million, 14 to $15 million, then you're going to have to figure out a way of getting him paid at that average yearly amount. And I just don't think that that's a road that the Steelers are wanting to go down. With everybody, you got a lot of people going to have their hands out there. And being as how Javon's not an every down player with the Steelers, it doesn't mean that he can't be an every down player with another team out there. And that sadly, I think they're going to let him go elsewhere.
Yeah, the long and short of it is that the Steelers would pay him based on what they would pay a guy who's going to play 50% of the snaps, whereas Hargrave can go somewhere else and get paid based on what he would do over 75% of the snaps. And that's just the math of it, and other teams can offer more because they'll play him more, and that's just going to be out of Pittsburgh's price range.
I mean, I've some other less knowledgeable, people out there trying to say that, they can get Javon Hargrave locked up for $8 to $10 million a year. Good luck with that. I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, the guy can be an every down player and an every down defensive tackles right now, 12 to 15 easily. And I think he's going to get paid if he makes it a free agent. He's having a great season again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought before the season you can get him a little bit cheaper just because the feeling of he's not right there to the market. But after the season, he's a couple months away from the market and where you can get that big payday. Why settle for less when you're just a few months away? No injuries are going to happen, and cash in then.
From John Caldarelli's back, David Knox, this is a very enjoyable 1-4 team. If not for late game mishaps by Connor and Juju, this team would be 3-2. As a Steeler fan for some 50 years, I'm very optimistic about the growth and positional talent I have seen on this Steelers team. The moves have been bold and unorthodox for a conservative organization with the in-season acquisition of Fitzpatrick and draft day maneuvers for Bush. Nelson has solidified the edge. Hilton Sutton buttressed the backfield. Dupree has finally matured toward his potential, and Watt is playing old school Steelers linebacker. Along the D-line to it, let's see, blah, blah, blah. I believe we are witnessing the next evolution of a great Steelers decade. I love Rudolph coming out of Oklahoma State and wanted him in the first round, literally on edge until the third round. Delighted with the leapfrog ahead of the team ahead of them to grab him. I think Rudolph is our future. His vision, accuracy, arm strength, and intelligence are blossoming. Equally, I've been a huge fan of Devlin Hodges. Like Alex, I believe he is one of the best 53 on the preseason team. I'm excited to watch him Sunday night after a full week of reps with the team. We may be witnessing that these two Steeler quarterbacks represent the future decade for the Steelers. Let's enjoy this growth process and drink from the glass half full.
Well, I appreciate the optimism, and again, I'm excited for Hodges should he get the starting nod. But he's going to run into problems. He's going to have bad plays. He's going to make mistakes. I know we all love the shiny new toy that's coming in with this backstory of as colorful as Hodges has. But he's still a rookie UDFA. He's going to make some of those plays, and I don't want to set the bar so high that it's impossible for him to reach that. He's going to have his bad mistakes, his bad moments. You just hope he makes enough big plays to outweigh those few mistakes he's inevitably going to make.
Are we 2 hours yet? We are, aren't we?
Oh, I think we're a little past
that. A little something different. Tom Hoy writes in, "Hey, David Knox, my name is Tom. I wanted to ask you a question. This is a little bit different than the typical ones this week. Has Artie Burns been playing defense the past few games? Actually, I don't recall seeing him in any defensive packages, but I could be wrong. I did see him on a few punt or kick returns, but that is about it. Have you guys heard anything? Not that I want him out there. Everything is okay right now. I was just wondering. It's been a tough few weeks, but you guys are helping me through it. Thank you for that. Let's see if Duck can get it done." Tom, he's I think he played one snap?
When Hayden went down with that shoulder for a play.
So, yeah, he hasn't been fantastic on special teams on top of it there. So, you're seeing the final moments of Artie Burns. It's not due to injury, obviously. It's performance. He's a backup, and no, he's not going to be out there unless an injury happens there. Let's see.
Glad they paid him the $800K bonus. That was money well spent.
Yeah. You still caught up in that?
Still caught up in that. A little salty about it.
Yeah, it sounds like you are. Alex and Dave, this one from Jonathan Mason. What do y'all think there has been a more Why do y'all think that there has been a more optimistic outlook when it comes to Duck playing over? I read this the other day, didn't I?
Did you?
Yeah, he talks about the contextualization. All right, let's sum it up with one other question that we seem to be getting quite a bit here, Alex. Mm-hmm. What happens if Duck Devlin Hodges plays well Sunday night. I guess we'd have to define well, but I mean,
well, they win the game. He plays well. I think we all can understand what you mean.
all right. What if that happens? What do you do coming out of the bye?
Mason's still your guy, just in the way that had Ben not suffered a season-ending injury, and even if Rudolph would have played well, I got those same questions. What happens? If Rudolph plays well, is Ben going to lose his spot? No, and Rudolph's not going to lose his spot either. I mean, kudos to Hodges if that's what happens, and that's good for him moving forward and his potential to stick on the roster. But Rudolph's still your guy, and Rudolph was playing well. I think we keep forgetting about how well Rudolph has played. Not that it's been perfect, but I think overall how well he's done in relief of Ben and put this team in repeated positions to be in games and win games and be close to winning games and things like that. So, no. Bottom line is, I know we love Hodges and we love the story. Rudolph's still the guy. He's the guy they've invested the pick in, the guy that they view as the heir to Ben Roethlisberger. So as soon as Rudolph's cleared and ready to go and has the reps, he's going to be the starter.
I concur, but that's not going to make these people happy.
But that's why I'm being very strongly about that, because I just want to tell you what's going to happen here. It's going to be Rudolph when he's back.
Right. I concur 100% with you. But if, oh, Lord, it's going to be a long, look, let's hope it's a long bye week. They were talking about that there's all this chatter that Devlin should start coming out of the bye. That's going to be a great look. If he goes out there and lays an egg, quack quack, throws 2 interceptions, throws for sack, fumble, those kind of things, and they lose the game. But nobody's going to be talking about this stuff. But if he wins and he has a good game on top of it, look out. We're gonna have a lot of emails talking about Hodges. He should be the starter moving forward into this season. Look, I'm rooting for the kid. I don't see how you cannot be all kind of caught up with all this duck stuff, these past few weeks there. One other question I keep getting or have gotten, and see if I can find it here from my buddy here, but a question about Blue Dot Barbecue back in Pensacola. Blue Dot Barbecue is an old restaurant down in downtown Pensacola, and it's been there for forever and a day, and they have great barbecue. It's kind of a hole in the wall situation. It's a very, very bad part of town there. But I have eaten there quite a bit growing up. I mean, it's been a kind of a landmark thing, and a lot of other things go on at Blue Dot Barbecue after the sun goes down as well. I'll just tell you a little story there, Alex, when it comes to Blue Dot Barbecue. I mean, they've got fantastic ribs and anything barbecue, obviously, there. But if you go there and you order a rib sandwich, you get a small like 3 or 5 baby back ribs with the bone in,
Wow.
in between 2 pieces of Wonder Bread.
Really? That's like Eddie Murphy raw McDonald's thing going on. They remember that?
But that's what you get when you go to Blue Dot Barbecue. Look, if you go to Pensacola for visit, go check out Blue Dot Barbecue, but go in the middle of the day. They got good burgers too there as well too, and go right about lunchtime. Right when they open there, get in the line, get your stuff, and get the hell out of there.
All right, I think that's a positive promotion. I think for.
All right. With that, I'm trying to find real quick and make sure I give the person. He's a long time follower, and I can't find the username here. But in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. You can follow Alex Kozora on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. You can follow the show at Terrible Podcast. You can email the show, theterriblepodcast at gmail.com. If you like what we do and you want to donate to the cause, go to SteelersDepot.com and hit that donate button up right navigational bar. Also, if you like what we do and you want an ad-free version of the site, please go to SteelersDepot.com and hit the ad-free version up there, upper right navigational bar. And for $25, you can have, for a calendar year, you can have an ad-free version of the site as well, too. So we appreciate all the support that we get from everybody. It's been absolutely fantastic. Once again, sorry, this might be our longest show ever now. So with that, as always, thanks for listening. Oh, it's from Pierre Miller. Got it in just in time. Pierre Miller on Twitter was the one to ask the blue dot question. As always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.